we're back in Citizen Sleeper. We are on cycle 56, deeper into the game than I've ever gone before, because last time we were spending a lot of cycles starting to help out the refugees. We've still got some work to go before we make the play to get the refugees through the blockade, through the they've got a specific word for it in this game, basically the barrier. So okay, we've got 4 things left to do. We've got breaking quarantine. That's what it is, the quarantine. Peak will need you to help out and execute a safe path through the cordon. The cordon, that's actually the word I was looking for Esh. Build a home. There's a derelict unit in the low end that remains unclaimed. With lots of scrap and a little work, it could be yours. So, the thing is, we've been using our scrap to help the flotilla. Probably won't be getting a home anytime soon, but we've got the commune, so, you know, we're doing all right. Esh and Peak need help gathering supplies for the refugee flotilla quarantined past the wastes. Will you help them? We've been gathering food, scrap, and water. Ooh, actually, now the music's a little loud for me. So that's been... I'm gonna turn down my headphones a little bit, because that's this song is intense. So we've collected food and we've collected water. I think we need 2 more scrap to make it work. And then help Bliss complete. Bliss has taken on a new big repair job that I simply do not have time to help them with, because there are refugees needing our aid immediately. And I'm very sorry, Bliss, but this could not have come at a worse time. Should I have completed your quest before I started helping out the refugees? Yes, probably. I think this is new music for the DLC. Okay, so the cordon. This is what we're working on now. We can intercept comms. I've got so many 6s. I've got 6s for days. You tap into a broadcast detailing the order of operations for new crews assigned to the cordon. This is exactly what you need. Okay, I think with these 6s, we'll be able to fill up everything we need here for the cordon intel. You and Peak need to get a sense of how the Haven Age operation works before you can prepare your plan to slip through it. Now we're going to blend in with a crew. You share rations with a crew during downtime and get a sense that not everyone working on the cordon agrees with the quarantine. Okay. Oh, we've unlocked some new things. Ooh, we've got the crew canteen. Oh, we can build up Haven Age suspicion. Exciting. Deflect suspicion. Okay, so, no, Haven Age suspicion is a bad thing. We need to not be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. And convince the crew. With division rife amongst tug crew, gaining support of a supply shipment will just be a case of picking the right crew and approaching them discreetly. Okay, interesting. So I need to do that. There's so many things I need to do. Oh my gosh, how many days do I have to do this? I'm in trouble. And all the Haven Age suspicion probably builds together, which is very dangerous. Some careful sabotage to the cordon systems would create a sensor gap that will allow the Briar to bypass the automatic quarantine systems. Okay, so we create a blind spot. And with the Haven Age hangar, we slice the thrusters. The tugs have a powerful suit of ion thrusters for rapid maneuvering. If you can sneak in and slice some off, you'll have a significant upgrade for the Briar. Oh, well, we've got a +2 to engineer, so let's do some of that. That's going to take so much work. Let's see if we can roll better than a 2. Hey, okay, let's keep slicing some thrusters. There's so much to be done. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to do everything. We've got like 8 more days, essentially. And the other thing we need is more scrap. I've got a special ability. that I can gain random scrap on engineering actions. So I'm not going to take any actions to try and get scrap right away. If it means that I can get it randomly through doing the other jobs that I already need to do. What I do need... Oh, what's going on here? Oh, right, Lem's out. Right, Lem and Mina didn't get the call to go on the, oh gosh, what was the ship called? The Sidereal Horizon. He's gonna be back on the same day that the Sidereal Horizon is gone. There's nothing I can do for them, right? I don't think so. Right, and I bought all the scrap I can. Alright, well. Fungus fans rise up. F's in the chat, but the F's stand for fungus. Okay, and then we'll spend... I think we gotta keep using my... Oh, this is actually a really good question. Do I save the stabilizer for later and just use one piece of scrap to self-repair, hoping that I get more scrap during the actions? Or do I use the stabilizer because right now scrap is more a precious commodity? Oh, it's tough. Stabilizer is going to be hard to find after I go through this set. But I think I need to save the scrap right now. Hard choices. Oh, let's go check in on Lem and Mina, because they were going to be back today. There's no answer when you buzz Lem's unit, but the door is open. You push the door and find Mina sitting in the middle of the floor, playing with Bun Bun. Hi, Mina. Hi, robot, Mina says sullenly, waving Bun Bun's paw without looking up. Where's Daddy? Mina doesn't respond. She walks Bun Bun across the floor, narrating quietly to herself. You look around the unit. It's a mess. Dishes and glasses on the side, some of Mina's clothes piled up in a corner. Mina is sitting by her bag, which is spilled out across the floor. Her drawing slate cracked and dark. I'm gonna play with Mina. You sit down beside Mina and she turns away, taking Bun Bun with her. But after a little while she turns back and you play together. She insists you both Bun Bun on a trip away, dragging the stuffed rabbit across counters and surfaces. You've just started to look at fixing Mina's cracked slate when Lem enters. Sleeper, what are you? He pauses and looks from you to Mina and back again. Never mind. He drops a bag by the door and slumps onto the couch. Everything okay? Lem lets out a weak laugh. You forgot the past cycles now too? Wish I was so lucky. He looks away at the open door. Look, now is not a good time. What happened? What happened? We messed up. We put our hopes in someone else's stupid scheme. He pinches the bridge of his nose. You understand, they never even put us on the list, right? I've been all around the rim looking for work and I've run into more than a few from the cruise. Turns out only long-time Haven Age members were issued those Celis ID numbers. They never planned to consider us. Haven Age says they didn't know that was what was going on, or what they were going to use to make the draw, and who knows, maybe Celis pulled the wool over their eyes, but what does it matter? All those hours in the yards for hand-to-mouth wages and nothing else. He slams his hand down on the sofa. That can't be it. Well, it is. He looks at the open door again. They're moving Sidereal up to the hub now, you know? He says without meeting your eye. That's where it'll depart from. They bring in a ship with all the cryosleep pioneers and transferring them up there in microgravity before loading the crew. We could steal a ticket. Lem laughs. There's no tickets. I was joking before. Just those ID numbers coded to someone's identity. No stealing that. Lem, you can absolutely steal someone's identity. Listen, this isn't me condoning it. Wink. But he looks over at Mina. Look, we'll be fine. We always have been. I just need a little time. He sighs. We had our hearts set on the trip is all. Mina comes over and climbs into his lap. He smiles. What if I got you on board? I missed you these past few cycles. I miss that optimism. Lem strokes Mina's hair. Look, you want to go up to the hub and ask around, be my guest. I can't get up there with Mina down here, and I'm sure the side reel will bring in a crowd, but be careful. These kind of things always attract scammers and thieves. You find any way on board, you take it. You need help to get there, ask me. But for now, me and Meanie here are sticking to the eye. She looks up at him and smiles. Thanks, Lem. No, thank you, Sleeper, for coming by. You stand and leave, and Mina grabs your hand, eager to give you one more smile. Then you are out, back in the walkways of the low end, already thinking of plans to make this right. Oh, I don't know if I have time to make this right. I didn't realize there'd be work to do. But isn't there always? Side reel dock, let's see what's going on here. Okay, it would take 3 dice, but I could potentially do it. This is tough. Do I spend my time here? I wonder how long there's not a clock here saying how long it's going to take. You hope against hope that there's a chink in this sidereal horizon's fast armor. There's not a clock there, so maybe there's still time. Let me go down and take a look. See what I can find if there's a clock down here for the sidereal's departure. No, just an empty space of where the dream used to be. Okay, well, with no clock indicating that it's leaving soon, I think I need to prioritize where my time is running out. And that is to find a way through for the refugees. Engineering may bring me an extra scrap part too if I get lucky. We can see. So far, no dice. Well, a few dice, but not rolling the way we want. I think that was one extra part right there I got, maybe? I'm at 6 now. I need 8 total, I believe. But we at least completed this clock. Peak grins up as you pile the ion thrusters set onto the motorized trolley in a derelict loading bay. I borrowed this from Esh. I barely know how it works. They seem giddy at the idea of stealing the ship parts from Haven Age. I thought you worked for XPR. I did, but not as a repair tech. They help you heave the thruster into position. My specialty was computer systems. I mostly worked on keeping the protocols that ran the refueling platforms from totally decaying to the lack of use. There's a load of platforms in orbit of the moon Hawthorne is on and Cinder itself. Esh and I ended up having to head out of them regularly to work on them. Sounds technical. Peak smiles. That was the best job at Hawthorne. You got assigned a ship, you get to leave the colony for a bit. So much better than outpost maintenance or canteen work. The only reason we got assigned it was that Esh's mother is the administrator of Hawthorne, and Esh managed to get my name on the list too. Peak looks for the trolley's ignition. Esh is always saving me. They find the switch and hit it, and the trolley starts whining. Peak looks at the thrusters. Esh will install these, and Briar is her baby, really? Or the Briar is her baby, really? Peak looks towards the bay exit. Truth be told, I was surprised she could bring herself to take it from her mother. Losing a ship? That has to have hurt the colony. Oh, yeah, taking it, What is her mother like? Tough. You'd have to be to keep in control of a service outpost with no services to provide. Peak looks away. It's a tough place overall, Hawthorne. And Esh's mom, she likes it that way. Peak shuffles the trolley out of the bay into the corridor. They'll manage without the Briar. No choice, Peak smiles. And I have to admit, I'd love to see her face when she saw we had gone. Peak pauses. Don't tell Esh that. They walk on quietly, lost in their memories of Hawthorne. Oh, I think I can manage the rest. Peak brushes their hair out of their face. You've done more than enough this cycle. Peak looks over the thrusters. Once these are fitted, the Briar will handle better than ever. You might even get a thank you from Esh, Peak laughs. They head off into the corridor, the trolley whining its high-pitched whine. See you soon. Okay. 1 of 3 completed with no suspicion. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's re-roll this 1 and hope we... Well, a 3 isn't great. I don't think there's much I can do with a 3 right now, unfortunately. One thing I can do, probably, is gather some scrap. I might hurt my condition, unfortunately. Or, actually, I'll work the commune so that I don't have to pay money to get my hunger refilled. Alright. Time for the next day. Clock is ticking. Oh, hey. I'll take those rolls. Ooh, 6665? You kidding? It's probably the best roll I've had all game. Just in time, too. Alright, we've got a fast ship. Now let's sabotage some sensors so that they don't know that we've got a fast ship. Unless, let me see, does any of the others have engineer? No. So I'm no luck of getting more scrap right now, unfortunately. But we gotta fill these up ASAP, especially with good rolls like these. You don't want to waste those 6s on things you're not as skilled in. Oh yeah, and I get the extra cryo, a little bit of extra pay. Okay, with that reroll, I had a 6, a 6, a 6, a 5, and a 6 today. That is easily the best rolls I've ever had in this game. Someone's looking out for me. I'd like to think it's Gardener or Navigator or someone that I've helped along the way. Here to help me out. How much scrap do I need? I need 8, so I do need 2 more. I want to make sure I complete at least 2 of the 3 for everything. Right now I've got 1 out of the 3 for Peak's plan and 2 out of the 3 for Briar's Hold. I think I can fill it all up. I think we can do this, but unfortunately Lemon Mina and Bliss are gonna have to be put on hold for a moment. It is interesting that the game gates you behind being able to collect a fair number of mushrooms before they even let you approach this. Like, they need you to be able to be like, not only do you have mushrooms to spare, which is not an easy thing, which definitely is like, I think that was a really smart point to kind of like progress check you so you don't start into this too early. Even now, I think I might have started the DLC just a touch too early. You carefully code a timed emergency maintenance program to take out some of the sensors on the cycle Esh is planning to make her run. Peak is waiting for you when you slip out of the operations center, nervously poking on their small slate. "Sleeper," they hiss. "I followed what you were doing on the network. Incredible work. How do you do that?" It comes kind of naturally. I've spent a lot of time on the digital side of this whole system. Peak smiles. "I can't tell if that's modesty or just the truth. Interfacing skills like that, it's almost worth being." They stop themselves. "Sorry, I didn't mean..." Listen, nothing is worth being a sleeper. Peak nods, unsure of what to say. You and Peak quietly slip into the main walkway and work your way back to the public areas of the cordon. Haven Age had to quickly respond to the Flotilla's arrival, and that means a lot of contractors and spacers walking through these corridors. You blend in easily enough. "I haven't really met a sleeper before," Peak begins. "As you might have guessed." They smile nervously. "Hawthorne is an XPR service outpost, and since the collapse, no one came for refusing our repair..." Oh, sorry. Gotta take care. Hawthorne is an XPR service outpost, and since the collapse, no one came for refueling or repairs anymore. So, my generation has never met anyone outside the company." Wow, never meeting anyone outside of the own company you work with? I mean, listen, I know we've got megacorps and stuff, but yeesh. "We heard about sleepers." They nod in your direction. "From the data packets that came through from XPR every once in a while, they usually contain news with the corporate propaganda, but the reports were light on the details. SNRP have kept the sleeper program pretty quiet anyway, and I think XPR are only interested in telling their employees about it because it made living in our company town look like a good life in comparison to being a piece of corporate property." They freeze. "Sorry, again, I don't mean..." They look down. "I'm just not sure how to talk about this stuff." "Neither do I." Peak smiles. "Glad I'm not alone. I'll shut up about it now." You walk on a little further, the walkway becoming busier. You both relax a little more and go with the flow of people. "I just want to say I think I understand." They begin again. Clearly this has been on their mind. "I understand the need to escape, to get free of it all." They laugh at themselves. The structures, the systems, the company horizons in a company town. They stare ahead. The small places, small corridors, small people. They look away. The slow death it brings. "That's it." They turn to you. "I get why you signed up to be a sleeper, and why you escaped from that too." Nod. You try to form words, but you can't. There's altogether too much running through your head, but you look at Peak and they look at you, and that seems okay for now. You walk in silence again, each of you in their own thoughts, but moving together through the space nonetheless. After a while, you come to the entrance to the cordon, where handfuls of workers and crews filter in and out through two huge loading bay doors. Peak stops. "Okay." They pause. "I'm heading back to the Briar." Once again, incredible work on the sensors. That blind spot you created, that should give us a real advantage. "See you soon." They head off, disappearing into the crowd almost immediately, outrunning their own nervousness. Alright. I like Peak. Peak and Esh seem like they've got this, like, really complicated, like, life. Everyone else on the station feels like they're from the station because they are in a very real way. Except for Sabine, you know, which is very noticeable in her storyline. But I think Esh and Peak, you know, coming here and feeling like they're refugees too, like running and trying to help people that I still think they had some hand in, like, kind of having them end up here in the first place. We don't know that yet, but they feel like really complicated figures in interesting ways. Disconnected from you and your story, but making the world feel large in a really nice way. All right, let's convince a crew. This is what I was talking about with my mouse. Why is it? My mouse has really been struggling lately. I cannot get that 5 to go for the life of me. What is happening? There we go. Honestly, you know what I might do? I might use my tablet to play. I know that's a little silly, but I think this might work. Just using my pen and my touchscreen. Yeah, this feels smoother. Maybe I'll just play like this. I forget what... Do I have any bonuses to Intuit? I do. Oh, that's what happens. I get the dice action outcome and the potential to re-roll my rolls. Speaking of re-rolling, that's pretty dang nice. Oops. Not what I meant to do. I meant to drag that into the other one, and I paid for it. This is what I get. I got distracted. Took my eye off the game and did an action with a 6 I absolutely did not need to do. Epic gamer moments. All right, let me work a little bit more, get my energy up. It's so funny saying, let me work a little bit more to get my energy up is not how I work in real life. Man, this is tough. I need the scrap, but I'm also so worried about running out of stabilizer. I'm gonna use 1 scrap. Oh no, I'm gonna use my stabilizer. I know it's so tough to like decide, but I can't have fewer dice right now. Now I'm out of stabilizer and I don't have many spores. So things are gonna get tricky in the next little bit. I think things are gonna get tight. Let me look at something real quick. I'll be just 1 second. I might pause the stream for a second. It should just freeze for a moment, but hopefully. Okay, we're all good. I was just making sure my face calibration was looking good. I'm shallow in that way. I want my face calibration to be looking nice. Okay, another set of pretty decent rolls, honestly. 4, like a bunch of 4s is not bad, because I've got +1 in a lot. And I can use these +5s to fill up most of this. I might go collect that extra scrap now from this, from the waste yards. Even though these could hurt my condition, I think it's what I need to do. +1 scrap component. Excellent. I just need 1 more. There we go. Positive outcome. Woo! Got very lucky there. 2 50-50 rolls. coming up Millhouse. So we've got 3 out of the 3 things for the flotilla. Let's see what Esh has to say. You look over the pile of scrap components lying in the briar. You look around. The bay is empty. Esh and Peak either elsewhere on the station or on the bridge a couple levels up. You begin sorting through the pile, separating out useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognize everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift, your attention being drawn into the dark corners of the bay. The briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XPR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere, from the delicate patch jobs, polished to meld into the original finish, or the carefully bound wiring running through custom trunking. Esh loves this ship. That much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners, a matte black stack of crates you hadn't spotted before. They're sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. I mean, I'm curious. A matte black stack? That sounds like shipmind parts to me, but I don't know. You put the components away and go over to the sleek crates. You run your hands across their textured surface, but there is little hint of what lies inside the opaque metal casing. Then you see it, a yellow symbol embossed onto the far side of the crate, a universal sigil used by spacers, corporations, and manufacturers alike. It's one you've seen throughout your time as a sleeper, its meaning all too familiar. Explosive contents. You hear a hiss, and Esh comes up through the bay's lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding at you as she passes. Sleeper? She busies herself with some task at the back of the bay. I'm gonna ask about the crates. If I'm helping somebody attempt to blow up a bunch of people on the eye, I want to know about that. Esh doesn't turn from whatever she's busy with. Just more supplies, Sleeper. Like everything else here. You can't think of anything else to ask, but sense that the atmosphere has now somehow shifted. Yes, somehow. You quickly finish up the sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her as you do. Yeah, I wonder what could have possibly made the vibe shift when she just told me that that all the explosives were, quote-unquote, just supplies. I'm sure it's fine. I think I want to collect some more spores in the mushroom groves. Oh, yes. Okay, some really lucky rolls, honestly, with the positive outcomes. So now I can plant these spores, and then Rico will be able to make me some more stabilizer, hopefully, once I harvest them. We can hope, at least. Let's go pay a visit to Emphas. Get some spicy shrooms. How much scrap do we need for this derelict unit? Or I would love to be able to basically make a new home to bring Lemon Mina, honestly. Like, as much as actually I'm very curious, has the side reel left? Like, am I going to lose out on the time for that? No, it seems like that's going to stick around for the foreseeable future, which is very fortunate, giving me some time to breathe. If I needed to breathe. That's a little sleeper joke for all of you. Okay. Let's see what we can get up to tomorrow. Let's hope these good rolls continue. I say, jinxing myself immediately. You know, now that I've got that, drone? A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone, its fins adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in the corridor. Hello? The drone shifts a little but does not respond. The drone buzzes closer, and a voice gurgles out of the speaker, distorted and strange. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Who is this? The drone clicks and whirs, and the recording starts to play again. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. I'm gonna inspect the drone. You move closer and the drone bobs away to a safe distance, but it does you see the Ha of Haven Age emblazoned on its side. Could this be Fang's doing? Satisfied it has delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare at it as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the cordon, then. No. I would be interested if Fang has an opinion on this. We're getting really tight on this. There's only 3 days left. So hopefully I don't need to spend too much time, like, prepping. I can finish this right now. I can convince the crew. But let's see whatever is going on here. As you enter the passage that leads through the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye. The drone. It stops to make sure you've seen it and then flits into a side passage, leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb up through the dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check you are following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way that the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out onto an observation platform. The cordon and the vast, ramshackle refugee ships beyond fill your vision. The scale seems impossible, and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect the situation. Something shifts nearby. The drone again? Oh. Helena. Helena? Helene? Maybe Helene? A woman is standing at the window and at the edge of your vision. You aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She too seems impossibly small in the shadow of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder and she turns. Sleeper. Sorry for the cloak and dagger nonsense. She nods at the drone, but I have never regretted being cautious. She smiles in a tight smile and holds out a hand. I'm Helene. I'll shake her hand. I don't know her yet, so I'll give her basic courtesy. The tight smile holds, but the drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look, she glances around the empty observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans and... She cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in her overalls, the yellow markers, the HA signal. You've been on the eye long enough to recognize a Haven Age member when you see them. You're a Haven Age. Yes, I mean, I expect that is obvious. The tight smile again. I hope you won't hold that against me. She glances around nervously and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I am not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one is happy about this. Especially not the refugees, I imagine. She sighs. I'm not your enemy here, no matter what you think. She pauses. Sleeper, tell me something. What does Haven Age mean to you? I would say, Hardenhurst, a work in progress, a fresh start. Haven Age is who Fang is with. And Haven Age and Fang was really insistent on, like, Haven Age has its issues, but they're doing the best that they can to keep the eye spinning. You know, literally and figuratively, keeping the lights on, keeping the water going, keeping the toilets flushing. Important things. So I'll call it a work in progress. She smiles. Fair, I think. Haven Age is used to being criticized. In some ways, we invite it. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting, to propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As a counselor, it is my duty to listen to them. That is why I was elected by the members. We are an imperfect system, yes, and each counselor, each member, each representative can be flawed and worse. She looks down. But we keep this place running. That is what we do. And non-members? There are paths to membership, and we cannot force everyone on the station to join us. What would you expect? We are an association of individuals. We cannot always account for the needs of those outside the structure. She turns and looks out at the flotilla. No matter how much we wish to. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruin, Sleeper. What do you think the council discussed? The price of Jirol? We make plans to keep this place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure... Helene's slate chirps and a grim look passes across her face as she sees the notification. She looks tired, the screen light casting her rigid expression in a pale glow. Sleeper, I didn't bring you here to explain how Haven Age works. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, breach the quarantine, and supply the flotilla. How do you know? I mean, listen, you never say how do you know, because then you're confirming that they're right. Don't play dumb either. There's a phrase that we use called "shut the fuck up Fridays." Apologies for the language, but what day is it? And what's my name? We're staying silent. I know you think you are helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this. Right now, halfway along the ring, one of a countless series of debates are being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that could be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helene walks to the window. Too many of the Haven Age Council think the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective, selfish, they seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to life on the Eye. If you are caught crossing the cordon... Let me try that one more time. If you are caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it will only strengthen the hardline counselor's case. Criminals who stole a ship from XPR undermining the security of the station? She shakes her head. It's exactly what they want. The refugees need supplies. They do, and that's exactly what I want to give them. But unless the quarantine is lifted through a fair process, they will never get them. She sighs deeply. And those ex-XPR spacers you're running with? Sleeper, do you know anything about them? More than I know about you. She looks at you pleadingly. Let's change that, Sleeper. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something is happening in the system. Something is pushing people out of the colonies and outposts that have survived since Solheim's collapse. We need to be ready for whatever is coming, ready to protect the Eye. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there is a reason you're still here. Help me protect it. Helene fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spacers that this is the wrong move, and they will get caught and the flotilla will be locked down. That Haven Age will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget the suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Ooh, I'm torn. Because, I mean, honestly, she's making good points. Like, and this is the tricky thing, right? Those refugees do need supplies. And at a certain point, you do need to be willing to, rustle some feathers to do the right thing, you know? But also, sometimes, historically, acts of righteous rebellion to help those in need gets portrayed and utilized by the more, let's say, uh, selfish individuals is maybe the word I'm going to use, in order to scare the average citizens into hating outsiders. Why don't you stop them? If I expose the plan, it's the same as if it goes ahead and they're caught. Every way I look at it, the eye looks compromised, the quarantine justified, the hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse the hardliners need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members they are the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly. Please. You look back at her and the flotilla behind and sense a desperation in her plea. Oh, hold on. Sleeper, I need to go. She looks torn. Think about this, please. Talk to the spacers. Help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment, watching the lights of the tugs and the flotilla, and wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination and yet so far from it. And then you think of the Haven Age Council chamber across the eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver, and then you two are gone, back into the stairwell and the cold dark below. Whew. Oh, I mean, can I even? I don't think I can convince them otherwise. There's no option here for me to even attempt that, right? Like probably the day of. But if there's one thing I've learned from the time that I've spent with Esh and Peak, it's that Esh is going to see this through with or without me. And that Peak will go along with whatever Esh chooses. So I think the best thing that I can do in this very moment is try to make sure that it goes off. If it does happen, if I'm not able to stop them, then it goes off without a hitch. And maybe even no one would be the wiser. You notice a crew sat apart from the others. Apparently they've been discussing smuggling supplies through the cordon themselves. You meet Peak leaning in a corner of the canteen in their typical unassuming way. It occurs to you as you approach that Peak must have some practice at staying invisible. All good? They look up from their slate. That crew you were talking to. They nod to the group leaving the canteen. Will they join us? Well, that's what they say. You aren't sure? Peak looks back at them and they disappear into the corridors of the installation. Looks like we'll have to take them at their word either way. Peak beckons for you to follow as they peel off the wall and head out into the walkway overlooking the cordon. Glad you were here to talk them into it. I never had much of a way with people. Peak smiles and looks away quickly as you walk. You and Esh seem to do okay. Peak laughs, their light and easy laugh. Esh is not really like other people, which you've probably noticed. If only everyone was like Esh. They fade off, something drawing their attention. What I mean is, people have caused me a lot of trouble. I've had people hate me without knowing a thing about me. They tuck their hair behind an ear. I'm sure you know the feeling. I do. Peak glances at you. Sorry to hear that. It marks you. Am I right? It does. Peak nods. You both walk in silence for a moment. Not an awkward silence, but one of solidarity. Peak leads you around a corner, heading back to the main cordon access way. I appreciate you coming in and helping us out on this sleeper, or on talking to the crew and, well, you know. Maybe after this insane plan is done, we can talk properly. They keep looking ahead and realize they're nervous. I'd like that. Peak smiles, looking down at their feet. That's settled then, they say to the floor. I'd better report the news to Esh. We have ourselves a tug escort. Peak stops at an intersection. See you soon, Sleeper, and please, take care. And with that, they drift away, their head down, their gait changing as they do, their practice invisibility shrouding them like a cape. Okay. So we've got everything we can for them. I wonder if that changes anything. Did that complete a drive? No, it didn't. It's interesting. Not even, I didn't even get a drive from Helene to, like, stop the run. So it'll be interesting to see what I can do, like, when it comes to the day of. I'm gonna get some more scrap because 1, I need a home, and 2, I need stuff to be able to repair myself with. I think I will. I'm going to spend 2 of this scrap on the derelict unit. Start putting it together so that I can build a home for Lem and Mina if I'm not able to sneak them aboard the ship. I know that that's what they want, but it would be nice to have them here. I like them. Honestly, I think that they would do really well because Lem wants, like, thunderstorms and natures, and I just have to be able to convince Lem that actually the best spot for him and Mina is across the Greenway helping out the commune. I think they would get along really well with those people. I wish that there was some way that I could, like, connect them together. Because that's certainly what my sleeper would do. Spend 1 scrap on fixing myself up. And then spend the day. Ooh, not great rolls right now. Sleeper! Peak is waiting for you when you leave, but they look different. Pale. Drawn out. You need to come up to the Briar now. They don't meet your eye. What happened? Not here. Peak hisses. Come to the ship. We'll be waiting. Peak walks away. Don't take long. And with that, they disappear around the corner, leaving you anxious and confused. I mean, we're close. Let's go. As you walk into the Climbing Briar's cavernous bay, now filled with crates and containers, Esh is waiting for you. In front of her, sliced open with its inside scattered across the top of a heavy-duty crate, is an object you recognize. Helene's drone. You freeze. Come in quick. Peak nudges you into the bay, looking behind you before sealing the entryway. We have to start being careful. You move closer to the container, your eyes on the drone splayed out in pieces, some parts of it hooked up to a slate that Peak picks up and begins tapping away at. Uh-oh, they're gonna see it. It knows me. Esh looks up from the dissection. We caught it buzzing around nearby, heading for the ship. She leans over and taps the HA signal on one of the removed pieces of plating. It's a Haven Age spy. We think we got it before it sent data back, but we can't be sure. Peak looks up at you nervously. Esh cuts in. Have you noticed anyone watching you? Any drones like this? Anyone following you up from the Briar? Listen, let's hash it out. You gotta be honest here. I've seen, I mean, because they're gonna get the data off the drone, honestly. I've seen this drone. Esh frowns. Following you? I've met its owner. Esh pauses for a second, Peak looking between the two of you. Explain, sleeper, Esh says quietly. Tell them about Helene. You explain that you met with Helene at the cordon. You tell Ash and Peak about what she told you, that the Haven Age Council are debating lifting the quarantine, but they're blocked by the hardliners. You speak faster and faster, but before you can finish, Esh walks away in anger and then comes back again, her eyes burning. What is this, sleeper? Have you understand nothing from what we've told you? She paces in front of you. Haven Age are not your friends. They're administrators, which means they are interested in only their own power, their own survival, their own causes. Something tells me that because I know that Esh's mom is an administrator, this is maybe her projecting. They divide people as easily as sorting livestock. The greater good of their hard work demands it. The wider project of the station, the colony, the nation. Her eyes are wide as she speaks, her anger barely contained. I didn't have a choice. Or she wants to help. Oh, I don't think either of these are gonna hit. But let's go with she wants to help, because I did have a choice. Esh laughs. Help what, sleeper? Undo the mess of her own creation? She only wishes to placate you so you'll compromise. So you'll do what's acceptable, not what's right. She's just a counselor, or she's trying. I mean, both of those are true. She's just a counselor. Let me tell you, sleeper, Esh says, her rage hardening into pain. When people become administrators, they give up something, some part of being human, being an equal among others goes away. They start talking about the greater good, the systems, the ways in which their hands are tied, or their processes compromised. My mother was the administrator of Hawthorne, and I have seen what it did to her. That noble higher calling, it's toxic. People should never have the chance to decide the fate of others, and those that do so at the cost of their humanity. Peak tries to cut in, but Esh holds up a hand. Don't start, Peak. Don't ask me to be reasonable or calm down. Thousands of people are desperate out there. Being reasonable will only prolong their suffering. Oh, this is tough. This is really tough. Helene can help. I do genuinely believe that's true, because I think, especially with the whole idea of the hardliners, like, excited to turn this whole, like, station against the refugees, given the opportunity, you need to play this carefully. Esh turns away. I'm done with this. You are risking this entire supply run just by being here. She walks back into the bay and starts checking the straps on the crates. I go next cycle. We don't need you anymore. Get out. Sleeper. Peak looks torn. You have to understand, this is personal for Esh. I know. Peak looks away, then at Esh. I don't know, sleeper. I just don't know what to do. You glance around the bay of Briar, the walls seeming closer every second. This whole thing is closing in around you, and the question is, where do you want to be when it all collapses? You look at Peak. Oh, what do you think, sleeper? Peak rubs their forehead. Should we do this thing or not? Oh. I mean, it's the right thing to do, right? Like, it's the right thing to help these refugees who are starving and need food and supplies and medicine and water. But it's going to make things so much more messy. But I do still think it's the right thing. But I don't know. Peak nods. Me neither. They look at Esh, but you see her? She knows, and she saved my life. So I'm going to say we do it. They squeeze your shoulder. Onward. They slip away to help Esh, leaving you alone to replay the conversation in your head, a certain kind of grim determination settling in the room. Last chance to prepare. Well, it's what I expected, to be honest. This idea of Esh is going to do this with or without me. Let me re-roll my dice, because I got not great stuff for today. There we go. That's at least better. And then I think the thing that I'm afraid of is I might get stuck on the Greenway after this all happens. I might not have a way back to help Lemon Mina. And so let me see if I can complete this clock before it's time to do the run to the refugees. Oh, come on. I need one more. 75% chance. Let's go. There we go. That's all I needed. Ooh, caster. Oh. Low-end data fence. Quite the achievement, isn't she? Cendre Celis must be proud. You turn quickly to see a figure hooded and tucked into the shadows near the viewing platform. Do I know you? Sadly, no, but I know you. Or at least I've seen you passing through the low end. You shouldn't rush through so much. The low-end pleasures tend to reward the wanderer. He looks around, but the platform is clear. We should be quick in our conversation, but I don't wish to unsettle you. I deal in data, and I believe you might have need of some. Caster walks out to the stand beside you on the platform. The telltale clunk of magnetic boots accompanies his slow crossing. He notices you looking at them. I don't much like it up here, he explains. I hear there was some trouble at the Haven Age shipyard when they announced the results of the crew lottery. I was there. I know, he says, meeting your eye. An ugly business. Celis are too used to the ways things work on the core. Exploitation is the only logic they know. He gestures out at the side reel. You know why they built this monstrosity on the eye? I mean, it's probably money and control, right? I'm gonna say control. Certainly, there is no corporate oversight out here, but that's not all. He stares at the pristine yellow hull. Celis built it here, Caster says gravely, because they didn't want anyone to know it exists. He rubs his forehead, and secrecy is something I cannot abide. He turns to face you. There are people being loaded onto that ship as we speak. Sleeping people locked in cryosleep like the person that you were emulated from. There are hundreds of them, and Celis wants to send them out to a planet at the edge of the settled systems without anyone knowing where it is. But you, Sleeper, can do something about that. You are like me, you deal with data. You can read it right out of the air, but with someone like you on that ship, secrecy isn't a problem. You can ping back whatever I need whenever I need it, as long as you're on board. With you on the side reel, and with some minor modifications, he pauses, you can be my eyes and ears. I will keep track of Celis's grand project through you. In short, Caster, stretching, I can get you on board, Sleeper, but I'm going to need you to help me. This is not what I wanted. I just wanted Lemon Mina on board. I was planning on staying behind. What if who are you? Tell me that first. I'm a concerned party. Someone who likes to know what's happening when it's happening, not afterwards. I'm not going. Then no one is going. If you help us, we can make allowances for your friend Lem, too. Make sure that they're assigned a winning ID. But if you don't go, then the deal is off. Castor clunks closer to the window, watching the tugs wheeling around the side reel. It's a simple offer, and the only one that will get you on that ship. Please consider it. He turns back, silhouetted against the ship. But to make it happen, I need your assistance, as I said. There is a Celis Foundation ship docked in the now empty shipyard. I need the data from its servers. That will allow me to produce the IDs necessary for your transit. Castor looks over his shoulder or over his glasses at you. Celis aren't stupid though. Their ship is totally isolated from the station. You'll need to get on board if you want to access their airwalled servers. Once you have that data, meet me at your friend's unit so we can give him the good news, he smiles. I noticed his importance to you, and the little one. So cute. You don't extract the data before the sidereal horizon leaves the hub, then I'll get the message. We have other options, but you are certainly my preferred one. But be sure when you act, Sleeper, once you take the data from Celis, you'll set off a series of events that will likely be hard for you to untangle yourself from. Either way, I recommend you stop asking around up here. You're bringing a lot of attention to yourself. Castor glances around as if to emphasize his point. There are only a handful of cycles until departure, Sleeper. Make your decision. With that, Castor marches back off the platform, the sound of his mag boots fading away, leaving you to contemplate the sidereal horizon and the part it may play in your future. So I'm going to say no. One, Lem and Mina have already kind of resolved themselves to say no and that they're going to stay here on the Eye and make a life for themselves that way. I wouldn't want to disrupt that into going on the sidereal and then me being a corporate spy for an entity I have no idea. I am sick and tired of having people in my head that I don't want in there. So I think for my Sleeper, that's an immediate no-go of just like, I'm not going to let somebody modify me to use me again for decades after I escaped the first time. It took me so much effort and time to get through the whole thing. I'm not going back. We can make a life here with Lem and Mina. So yeah, I would have this option to steal the Celis data, but and that's down here, sneaking on board. It's just not going to happen. As much as I would like to get Lem and Mina out of there, make their dreams come true, I was never completely sold on Lem's vision for that world. Anyway, I do feel kind of guilty selling all this Yatagan data now that I'm kind of Team Yatagan with Sabine and oh, why can I never remember her name? Oh man, this is killing me. Sabine and it starts with an R, but I can't remember. I wish I could like go check in with people and just like say hi to stories that I've already finished. Like what's Fang up to these days? Like I would love to know Fang's take on the Haven Age situation, what he thinks of it, to get some like kind of insider perspective in that way. That's not just coming from a very like individual interest, but like, you know, he works systems. What does he think? How would they be able to handle the extra stress? What if we brought them to the Greenway instead of to the other side of the eye? All right, we've done everything we can for the Briar and their run. It's funny, she said we leave tomorrow, and that simply is not true. They did give me one more cycle until the clock actually completed. Maybe I just finished faster than they thought I would. Let's see. Are mushrooms ready for harvesting? Not quite yet. Then I think I'm going to collect some scrap. So that I can repair myself, be ready for the next day. And then... Then I think it's time to keep helping Bliss. Or should I collect more scrap and build out that home? Let's actually do that. Let's complete that, since I only need a bit more scrap. Actually, and that'll do it. Alright, let's take a look at the unit. Finally, I'll have a place to sleep on this side of the eye that's not just a shipping container. You know, helpful. Maybe a real bed. Oh, now I have to seal the unit. With the materials, the unit now needs sealing sections section by section to be usable. It's a laborious task, but the outcome is worth it. I don't have that much energy, unfortunately. I wish I did. Well, still no bed. No sleeping for the sleeper. Put in a shift at the commune. And then with a 1/1 die. Oh, yay! Hey, hi, Momo. So, just to catch you up a little bit, a little last time on for what you missed, I'm also glad that your meeting's done. I know it was planned to be a long one, but, anyway. So, we've got everything we need to help the refugees break through the, barrier and the quarantine that Haven Age has set up to keep the refugees on the other side of the basically keep the refugees out. We've been approached by somebody from Haven Age named Helene, who is telling us that there are people within Haven Age who kind of want us to break through because they would use it as an excuse to basically put the eye down under martial law. Like, they would basically, they're kind of like far hardliners is what they're calling them, basically very people who are very conservative about the current status of the eye and their quality of life, and are afraid that bringing on thousands of refugees is going to diminish that. You know, at the best read, you can be like, well, they're concerned about life support systems, water, air, all of that. But they're also using that as an excuse to kind of like invoke fear in people on the eye. And so she basically begged us not to do the run to bring supplies to the refugees, because that'll be seen as an act of defiance and give those hardliners a excuse to basically, they're going to try and use it as an act of terrorism to put the eye down under like martial law, essentially. So we've told Esh and Peak, the other two people, about that, and they're still going to go through with the run because I wasn't able to convince them not to. Because honestly, they were making very good points about how it's still the right thing to do. So now I'm going to try and help them get it off without a hitch, in order to, save the refugees as best as I can while not having the eye descend into a area of complete chaos and martial law. Yeah, for sure. And that starts on the next cycle, so it's about to get pretty intense, I think. I also, I've looked into getting Lemon Mina on the side reel, but I would only be able to do it if I go with them and basically act as a data transfer point for this super sketchy individual who's like, hey, let me put a little thing in your brain and then you'll be able to transfer data to me whenever. And I said, no, thank you. And so I'm going to try and find another life for Lemon Mina as best as I can. Unfortunately, I don't know. I really want to bring Lemon Mina over to the Greenway and introduce them to the commune, because I think that they would get along really well over there. Like, Lem is always talking about how he wants Mina to, like, smell, like, nature and, like, the thunderstorm, and, like, the Greenway has all of that. I think they would do really well with the Haifa, but I don't know if that's possible. I'm guessing it's not, unfortunately. Oh, this is a big sleep. It doesn't, I feel like it doesn't normally have that slow of a fade. That feels like something's really happening now. Yep. She's gone, Sleeper. Peak is breathless and shaking. She started the run without us. Shit. Let's go. If we head back to the cordon now, Peak starts back up the corridor. They turn back. She has to make it, Sleeper. She has to. A shiver runs down your spine. Esh, I hope you know what you're doing. I'm really glad that I completed every single clock for them now, even though it took basically all of my stabilizer and focus, because things are about to get messy. You arrive, frantic and anxious, at the cordon. Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps hammering on the metal stairway Helene's drone led you through before, the one that leads up to the observation deck. You leap up to the stairs two at a time and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper. Peak emerges from the light. I know she's trying to protect me, but... It's okay. She chose. But what about my choice, Sleeper? I'm not a child anymore. I can fight for myself. They turn away. There she is. Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the climbing briar's blue XPR livery against the black of the void. You spot the climbing briar, a glint of blue and white, and beside it the red glare of a tug's lights. The tug crew went with her. Peak smiles. I knew they'd keep their word. That'll help. Peak doesn't seem to hear you, but the idea of the crew backing Esh makes you smile. Maybe this thing will work. You watch as the briar and its tug escort arc down towards the edge of the cordon, demarcated by red lights of the perimeter system. So far, so good. The briar will just look like another refugee ship being escorted into the cordon, at least at a glance. Peak grips the rails as Esh reaches the edge of the cordon, that invisible net of sensors splayed between ships and drones. Now let's hope the blind spot triggered. You think back to the mess of systems you had to wade through to set it up, the delicate contingencies you set up to trigger the sensor blackout just at the right moment. Without noise, without ceremony, the briar slides through the cordon. You await the flickering of alarm lights, the swarming of drones, but nothing. Just another cycle. Just another ship. Esh is in. Both you and Peak let out a breath you've been holding. and laugh. Oh, did she do it? Peak smiles, shaking their head. I mean, I'm gonna say we did it, but like, let's be totally real. I spent like 10 days using all my best dice and money and stuff on doing it. So, credit where credit's due, Peak. But we did it. Peak smiles wider. Yes, we did. They laugh. You feel a little shaky from the tension, but Peak's ease helps you settle. You imagine Esh steely-eyed in the pilot's seat of the Briar, searching for a place to dock. Maybe being stubborn has its advantages. What now? Now she finds a place to dock and unload as quietly as possible. They look out at the flotilla, and then she gets the hell out of there. You and Peak turn back to the window, looking for the Briar amongst all those hulls, the calm fading as new worries settle in. You spot the Briar first this time, docking with the largest of the flotilla's ships, a vast converted tanker, half of its protective plates removed. You think about the effort it must have taken to get that thing all the way here from the inner system. You watch the Briar, unable to get any sense of progress from its placid exterior. They'll be offloading everything now, Peak says, both assuring you and themselves that everything is going to plan. You think of all the supplies loaded into the Briar and how long the process of unloading them might take. The bay was packed, rammed with everything you could offer, and the thought of bringing all that to the flotilla makes you smile. You think of the reaction of the refugees, of the welcomes they'll give Esh as the bearer of such gifts. You even imagine a smile from Esh as she is showered with thanks. You focus on that as you watch the Briar and continue the nervous wait for it to finish unloading. It's breaking off. Peak points at the Briar and you see the puff of air and dust that accompanies an emergency depressurization. Esh must have ended things early, but why? Then you see them, the tugs closing in on the Briar. Havenage must have spotted the ship. You and Peak are up against the window again, willing the Briar a safe path out of the flotilla. Suddenly, the Briar shifts in space, a blue blur between two hulls. Peak whistles. Look at that. They smile at you. Looks like those upgrades we put together work. You watch as Esh cuts through the crowded flotilla, the tugs not daring to follow her dangerous path, and peeling away. It's hard to keep track of the Briar, and suddenly both you and Peak are searching the black for a sign. Where's she gone? Then all of a sudden she's out, blue against black, pulling away from the cordon on a wide arc back towards the station. A clean run. Peak cheers and smiles at you. We did it! She's out! They beam uncontrollably at you, the tension released. You find yourself smiling too, smiling at these two beautiful idiots and their beautiful ship. Then Peak is hugging you, squeezing you with all the nervous energy that had been building. Thank you, Sleeper. We did this together. They step back, still smiling. We did something. Come on. They rush out of the observation deck. Let's meet her. Okay. Listen, clearing all of those steps had its advantages. It worked. It went off without a hitch. I mean, maybe they still know that something happened, but we're not in that much trouble. Which seems like a win to me. Let's see what Esh has to say. You and Peak rush into the Briar, finding yourselves in the now empty bay. The change is a reminder of what you achieved, and looking around you, you feel all the more satisfied. A hiss sounds at the far end of the bay and Esh enters, looking exhausted. Peak runs up to embrace her, but she sits down on the bay floor before they reach her. You did it. They sit beside her. Esh, you were incredible. Esh smiles a small smile at this, laying her head on Peak's shoulder. You suddenly feel like you're intruding, seeing the two of them like this, quiet and content. Sleeper, Peak calls, "Come on over." You cross the bay and sit beside them on the hard metal floors. Esh. Peak asks, "Did you give the flotilla our chairs?" They both burst out laughing at the ridiculousness of it all, at the exhaustion and the worry and everything else. You laugh too, it's impossible not to. And after a while, you all come to a stop, Peak wiping their eyes and Esh shaking her head. "You would have loved to see it, Sleeper," Esh says quietly. "The welcome I got." "They came to greet the ship once I docked, to offload the supplies. I told them I was coming, of course, as soon as I got inside the cordon. But there were so many. Children's family. They were all smiling at me, shaking my hand. Sol was there too, Peak, and he's just as gruff as he sounds over the comms." She smiles. "They took it all, crate after crate, until the ship was emptied out." Esh looks away. "But there were so many, and even with everything we managed to bring, they needed more. They made me promise I would try to come back." "Esh," Peak shakes their head. "You know we can't do that twice." Esh stands up. "What are we supposed to do? Wait for them to lift the quarantine?" She's angry again, that familiar tension rising in her voice. Peak tries to pull her back down. "Sit, Esh. Rest. You've done enough for today." "Don't, Peak. I know my limits." Esh hardens. "Okay, well, seeing as they didn't catch you, perhaps they'll lift it. They know the flotilla poses no danger now, and if they can account for the extra load on life support." Esh walks away towards the ladder that leads up into the upper parts of the ship. "I need rest, Peak." She holds up a hand. "Sleeper." She then limps up the ladder, step by painful step. "I'm afraid if you were expecting a change in Esh's demeanor," Peak smiles at you. At least she's honest." Peak nods. "Think I need some rest too." They put a hand on your shoulder and get up from the floor. "We couldn't have done this without you, Sleeper, and I know those in the flotilla would thank you too. Go rest." Peak limps up the ladder too, leaving you alone on the metal floor of the bay. Your thoughts drift to all those people on the flotilla, seeing and sitting on metal floors like this. Children, families, playing in cargo bays and repurposed fuel tanks. You know their story isn't over yet, and you look forward to meeting them. Their quarantine will lift. You feel all the more sure of this fact every moment, even though you aren't sure why. You lie back on the metal and stare at the ceiling. What was Fang told you Erlen said? The eye opens for us all? Maybe the old guy was right. A home for the lost. You like the idea for that. Or you like the idea of that. Maybe in time you can help make that a reality. But something is bothering you. A sliver of a thought, like a splinter you can't extract. Why are thousands of refugees coming here now? People don't abandon their homes for nothing. What wave is rushing through the system, and when will it reach the eye? You shudder on the cold metal floor and get up. Something is coming. You can feel it. This isn't over. That must be end of part 1 of the DLC, because it came out in 3 chapters. I wonder what part 2 will hold. Well, we'll use that moment that we have to complete some other clocks. I wonder if there's any way that if I can steal this Celis data and somehow get Lemon Mina on board, even without going myself. I doubt it. I wish I could talk to them. I wish I could see Lemon Mina, know what they want to do. I still haven't completed the low end thing. Let me do that real quick. That's funny. Still just this basic exploration clock that I never fully finished. Oh, I got I actually get to talk to Caster. Was I supposed to meet Caster for the first time way long ago and just never did because I never finished that clock? That's possible. You cross between two walls of units. One of the cavernous streets at the bridge of the low end, sorry, crossing my sentences there. One of the cavernous streets at the center of the low end, the pressurized bridge is full of the clack of tabla, the shouts of children, and whir of air filters. Sleeper. You turn to see a man sitting on the tabla table alone, somehow untouched by the hustle and bustle of the people around you. He gestures to the stool on the opposite side of the table. Sit. I'll sit. I definitely was supposed to meet this guy before the end of Lemon Mina's story, huh? He's introducing himself to me. That's very funny. I'm like, dude, we just met yesterday. You're offering to put something in my brain that I don't want. I'm not sure that this will go great for us. You sit at the metal stool and he starts setting out the board with counters, or at least the filter caps low-enders typically use in their place. Caster, he says by way of introduction, looking over his glasses. Night or day? He asks, gesturing at the caps, crudely sprayed white and black. Night. He nods. The black counters are already on your side. Let's begin. You take a plastic die. You take a plastic die each, pitted and worn, and roll to determine who starts. Caster rolls a 6, you a 4. I lead. He smiles and begins to move his first cap precisely along the board. Play passes back and forth between you, the dice changing hands as the caps spread along the board. As it does, Caster speaks, eyes not leaving the caps. It is unusual to see a sleeper in the eye. That's why I wanted to play you. You take your turn, rolling a 5 and a 6. I'm gonna play aggressively, because I've already met... This is very funny, having just met him moments ago. And him knowing all about me already. I've accidentally sequence broken this game. After all, a sleeper's mind must be somehow different to a human one. Being emulated, I mean, as Caster talks to you, target his counters, halting his progress, but exposing your caps as you do. I don't mean to offend you. Caster meets your eye. I merely see that you are, by definition, different. What has been subtracted in the emulation? What has been added? He stacks a wall of counters, a boundary you must break. He hands you the dice. You ever think about this, Sleeper? About how you were before and what you are now? Always. You roll a double 1 and solidify your wall. Caster whistles. The holding game. Commendable. It can be brave to build from what came before. He rolls the dice and leaps your wall in a single move. But we cannot idle too long, Sleeper. The slower we move, the sooner we are caught. The past you is not just an idea, a concept for you. It's a living, breathing person who looks up over his glasses, his eyes bright and wide. You split from them like a shadow splitting from its caster. Oh, and his name is Caster. They may be sleeping now, yes, but one day they will awake and carry on their lives unaware of your fate, no matter what it may be. He hands you the dice, smiling. You are a branch severed from the main trunk, an offshoot who refuses to die, so to speak. I'll be honest, Caster not giving me great vibes. I think I was right to maybe reject his proposal for Lemon Mina. You roll again, under pressure now, trying to slip your caps out from under Caster's before he solidifies control of the game. So what I'm curious about is how you see yourself in all this, Caster asks. What does this tangle of truths make you? Driven. Caster laughs. That much is obvious, Sleeper. I see it in your eyes. You are eager to make all this count for something. Caster looks away, through the glasses to the crowded units on all sides. But driven towards what? He starts removing caps, his home board now full. Is there an end here, or just endurance? You try a few more rolls, attempting to get back in the game, but Caster clears his home board with a sense of the inevitable. He has known he was winning for a while. I feel I may have pushed too far. He slides another cap from the board. I apologize. My curiosity has a habit of getting the better of me. You roll to return a cap to the board, but all the spaces are blocked. Caster clasps his hand apologetically. You play well, really. Your weakness is not your game. He smiles warmly. We have much to learn from each other. He slides his glasses back, up his nose and six back. I feel we could even share knowledge, ideas, perhaps even data. His eyes glint with that last word. To our mutual benefit. He slides his final cap from the board. It is over. He is won. I'll see. Please, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. He holds up his palms. My intention is only to help you endure here, and, if I'm able, feed my curiosities. The game over, you notice the bustle of the walkways once more, the call of the children, the deliveries, the arguments and reconciliations. They wash over you as you stand and leave, Caster nodding goodbye as you do. Crossing the walkway, you replay the moves of the game in your mind, looking for an opening you are sure was there. That's funny. Yeah, now just like, okay, and I can sell data in bulk now. Interesting. I don't really need that anymore, but that's a funny thing to have run into at the end of all of this. All right, I'm going to seal up my makeshift apartment, create a home for Lemon Mina, even if I never see them again, which I have a feeling I unfortunately might. Well, that reroll was a bust. But hey, I can get some more data now. Maybe I'll be interested by what Caster actually has to offer. See if there's any more Yatagang data. Yeah. Rabia. That was the name of the other character. I couldn't remember. It's Sabine and Rabia. Yeah, I feel guilty collecting Yatagan data now that I've kind of like sorted out the Yatagan issues and like the people who run it now. Oh, and the aviary now has mushrooms ready for me to harvest. So if I get some good rolls, I should make sure I do that. Because I'm only going to have 4 dice starting tomorrow. So I'll need to make sure that I get some more stabilizer from the club head cap soon. Get some nice high rolls for that. Oh, come on. I need the club heads. Please. I don't know if Matsutake does anything for me at this point. I wonder if I can sell them, maybe? Still no more club heads. That's rough. Oh, yes, thank you. One more. How many club heads do I need? Only 2. Thank goodness. So I can get stabilizer off of this. We've got one more 4 dice, and I'm wondering what to do with that. I think, honestly... Oh, actually, I should work the commune. Or... That's honestly better with a lower roll of a dice. I think I'm going to get some scrap for future taking care of my body and such. Ooh. That's okay. That's okay. I've got stabilizer. It was bound to happen eventually that I got just a neutral outcome on that. But now let me make sure I get some good food. I was going to work the commune, but honestly, now that I'm kind of loaded with cryo, I can sort of just I can let it ride a little bit. and just pay for food a little bit more willy-nilly. Honestly, I wish I could pay for stabilizer at this point, because it'd be easier than growing mushrooms, actually, which was certainly not my experience my first time playing this game. And since I've got one stabilizer now, I'll do that. And I don't know when the next bit of DLC will begin. I'm curious about that. If it'll be like today it'll start happening, or if there will be a brief pause in the cycles. And there might not be. Yeah, see, I almost hit end cycle. That would have been a mistake. Okay. There's a clock here. So episode Flux. What's done is done. Now all you can do is wait and see what happens next. Okay, so yeah, there's one more day until that clock completes. So I've got one free day, essentially. And the question is, do I want to help Bliss with my free day, or do I want to get some mushroom stuff going? And honestly, for the sake of my own, like, continued survival, mushrooms is probably the call. Let me see what this scrap ship showing. Yeah, the scrap ship is gone, but it will be back tomorrow, and I'll be able to buy quite a bit more scrap, which is great for my stability. So actually, in that regard, maybe I do help out Bliss. And the side reel is, that clock is ticking. It's not gonna... I don't think I'm gonna do anything else with that at this point, though, unfortunately. Like, I wish there's more I could do with Lemon Mina, but... we need to... Let's see. Sacrifice section. Vent a section and you have a better chance at saving the remaining crops, but you will lose some in the process. The question is, how many? And reinforce bulkheads. Welding in 0G farm is tricky. The torch, the heat, the sealant, everything can damage the crop you are trying to save. Okay, so we need to save the crop and not fill up the fragile biome dice. So I think sacrifice section, this kind of thing tends to be something you can only do once. So let's go ahead and roll them bones. I mean, not actually taking a chance because we got a 6. Oh, great. It fills up even regardless. Fantastic. I did not realize that. It could have gone much worse, though, and we did fill up 5 pieces. But with this, let's see how much we can actually save. Okay, so it's even with a positive outcome, we're harming the bio a little bit. Oh, those were not the rerolls I was hoping to get. And then tomorrow, I was hoping I would be able to clear that up in one day, because tomorrow things are going to get busy again with the refugees. But maybe I'll be able to spend just a few dice finishing things up with Bliss. I've got like little methods now of like, okay, if I've got a 1, if I've got 2 1s, I'll spend 1 on data and 1 filling up food. You know, little tricks here and there to keep my stability and energy as high as they can be. Not great rolls. Oh, that was scary. Ooh, that sound effect is genuinely startling. It hits you like a wave, a white-edged breaker roaring inland with the force of the entire ocean. The impact is a screaming brightness, blanking out everything. Behind it is silence. You float in silence, suspended. No, you do not float. You are the silence. It has filled you up. It has emptied you out. You cease to exist. Time passes, though you do not feel it passing. Then something flickers in the silence, and then something moves. that something is you. You open your eyes to a metal ceiling of flickering lights. You feel the floor around you. Patting it with shaking hands, you assemble an image of yourself lying on your back in a corridor. You shake off the silence and sit up. What was that? You glance around looking for a sign of some change, damage on the walls, shouts in the distance, fire and fear. Nothing has changed. The silence sits around you like a fog. You try to think, furrowing your brow. How do you think again? Doesn't seem so easy anymore. You force the pathways to light up, the databanks to grant access. You feel like a fraction drive starting up after a long shutdown in cold vacuum. In the wave was noise, just as the sound produced by a wave raking across a pebble beach represents trillions of impacts heard as a single roar. So this sound was the result of trillions of electrons flickering in place, heard as a single impossible scream. A memory, image comes to you, one from the moments before the wave hit. You squint as you imagine it, trying to cohere its blurry form, a broken skeletal ring, the eye, and then a vast arc approaching it, a razor-edge white curve, the wave. The wave approaches the eye spins, turning each part to face that vast white edge. You recognize their skeletal data cloud forms, the bright market, the low end, the greenway, the wastes. Then the wave hits just as the flotilla, the cordon, turns to face it. And after that, everything is silence. You open your eyes again. That is the epicenter. But of what? Okay. That seems concerning. Is that what is happening in the core systems? This wave of electrons, like shutting down systems? Entire planets, things failing as electronics fail? Some, like, wave of electrons out in the distance colliding with them? That's my current guess. Even before you reach the cordon, the damage is obvious. The blinking red lights, the drones, the tugs are all gone. Half the cordon's frame has also been shorn away, perhaps through the impact of some failing ship. People push past you in the corridor, both Haven Age staff and contractors clearing the cordon. Try to speak to them. You are met with suspicious looks and scattered warnings, but little else. From the equipment being carried out, you suspect this is no relief effort. Haven Age are pulling out of this section of the station. The further you pass into the cordon, the less people you see. You can see a few sections have been closed off, their bulkhead doors sealed and red warning lights punctuating the corridors, but otherwise most areas seem functional. Suddenly you feel a hand fall on your shoulder. Haven Age security? You should have known better than to wander into this place. You brace yourself as you turn. Sleeper. Peak embraces as you turn. What are you doing here? Did you see the cordon go down? Did Esh speak with you? Peak glances around and you can see they are panicked. I don't know what's happening. That makes two of us. Esh left without saying anything. Peak runs a hand through their hair. I was away from the ship, and when I got back, she'd taken it and gone. Then I saw the damage to the cordon. Oh no, the explosives from before. Oh, excuse me. Peak looks at you with... Oh, my voice is all scuffed. Peak looks at you with wild eyes. What if this is some Haven Age attempt to clear the flotilla, to scuttle the refugee ships? It isn't. Peak pauses. What do you know, Sleeper? There was a wave. Peak frowns. A wave? What do you mean? They pause to think. A signal that only affects electrical systems, perhaps. An EMP would have taken out most of the station, but... Peak runs a hand through their hair. I don't know what you're saying, Sleeper. That doesn't sound... They look away down the corridor for a moment. Look, I have to find Ash. I'm sure you felt something, but we can talk about that later. They set off down the corridor. I can't sit around talking any longer. Find me on the flotilla. I'm going to find a way to Ash, no matter what. With that, they rush away into the depths of the cordon, leaving you behind. Seems like you'll need to follow if you want any answers. Oh. You find a small shuttle scavenging supplies from the cordon to take back to the flotilla. They'll take you too if you bring some scrap along. Interesting. So that's how I activate the next bit and end up in the flotilla. Well, I think before I do that, let me finish this mission with Bliss. And honestly, doing engineering might give me some scrap. It did. Excellent. You and Bliss are floating in a bay's airlocks, waiting for it to cycle. You pick a few leaves from your clothes as you wait. They float around the chamber as if carried by a lazy wind. Clean work. Bliss bows a little. Well, thank you, Sleeper. You didn't do so bad yourself. She checks her tool belt. It seems like we're getting into a good rhythm. The now familiar sequence of clunks and rattles sound out, and then the door hisses open. The moment it does, you know something has once again gone wrong. What's all this? Bliss asks a confused-looking Moritz. Beside him are a set of crates anchored to the bay floor. He's clearly just brought them in through the bay's freight lock. Moritz looks nervously between the two of you before answering. It's payment. He runs a hand along the crate. The Sycamore Seed crew just brought them over. He stops, but seeing the look on Bliss's face adds, they were very thankful. I bet they were. She clenches her fist. What the hell is inside? Moritz leans over and struggles with the catches on each side of the top crate. As he does, Bliss turns to you. Don't say it. Bliss stares into space. Don't you dare say it. I'm gonna stay silent. I don't know what she wants me to not say, so I'm just gonna say silent. Don't. She gives you a hard look. This isn't my fault. Moritz finally gets the catches free and the lid floats off, drifting up into the bay. As it does, a small brown lump floats up with it. Moritz reaches out and catches it as it passes him. Is that a mushroom? Bliss finishes. They paid us in mushroom. Oh, a damn mushroom. They paid us in mushrooms? Not just mushrooms. He holds out a clump of tightly packed leaves. Produce. Bliss starts laughing. Goddamn Haifa commune. Should have known they didn't have a chit to rub between them. She knocks a small brown mushroom across the bay. Stop, Bliss. Moritz grabs her hand. These are good. Fresh. We can still sell them. To who? Moritz? We're running a... Are we running a grocer's now? We need cryo, otherwise this whole bay will be shut down. We can't pay for parts with leafy greens. She waggles them in Moritz's face. I can use them. Bliss raises an eyebrow. What, 4 whole crates? Even you can't be that hungry. You can take a few, but the rest will sell. She smiles to herself, or at least Moritz will sell them if he's so eager. Moritz closes up the crates and starts moving them. It isn't that bad, Bliss. It's a step in the right direction. He glances at you, looking for backup. They'll sell well. I know a guy down on the low end. He fries them up great. Bliss sighs. Looks like I went into business with a couple of wannabe farmers, she laughs. Prove me wrong then. Show me this is a windfall. She kicks away towards the new patched together terminal. Until then, I'll be working on how to keep this place open. Moritz mouths a thank you and goes back to moving the crates. You'd better be on your way too. Well, it's, you know, there are worse things to be paid in. Are any of them good? Though, I know the Haifa won't want them because they're the ones who paid us, so maybe I can give some to Emphas, even though I've got quite a few on my own. I wish I knew what to do with the Matsutake and Jiro caps. Like, I don't think there's anything, I can't give them to Emphas anymore. At least I can pay for some more scrap. That'll help keep me fixed up and feeling good. Alright, we've got scrap. Enough to cross to the flotilla. And enough to keep me, like, repaired without stabilizer for a while. So let's actually, wait, let's leave real quick. I'm going to, ooh, yeah, look at those rolls. Amazing. Those are some mushroom farming rolls if I've ever seen them. Or at least getting spores rolls. You would think that the spores and the way that they harvest altogether, like at a certain point the aviary would become self-sufficient and plenty of mushrooms would be growing and I wouldn't need to constantly collect more, but here we are. At least I have 6 now. That's very good, honestly. That's 2 whole sets of mushrooms. Alright, let's cross to the flotilla. Oh wow. There's more ships here than I expected. And I guess they did say thousands of people, so. Oh, I used all my dice. That's an issue. Okay, so I can either haul supplies or do damage control. I'll have to come back here tomorrow, I suppose. I didn't realize, I thought it was going to be like a narrative event, not something that I needed to fill up with my own dice. Whoops. Alright, well, we'll repair one and then head to bed. Start a new cycle and help them out fresh. Alright. I've got a +1 to either, and both fill up the thing in the same way. So, let's haul supplies. Getting the necessary supplies to each ship to meet their needs is a huge task. Joining the hauling teams is the simplest thing you can do to help. Oh nice, and it actually gives me plus energy. You run some water out to a struggling farming ship on the flotilla's edge. They are so pleased they reward you with some freshly cooked produce. That's very nice. Getting my energy up for that is wonderful. And it happened again. Let's re-roll now. Still not great rolls. Okay, I'm getting new spots filling up. I'm honestly, before I even go talk to Peak, I'm just gonna... Let's do one here with damage control. The wave hits systems more than anything, especially those on the ships, so there's 1,000 tiny repair jobs to be done. Okay, it doesn't seem like I'm unlocking new spots, kind of like you do when you find new neighborhoods, but that's fine. As you walk into the bay of the Climbing Briar, the familiarity of the space overcomes any trepidation. It feels good to be back, and the return feels earned, especially after all the work it took to figure out a route through the Flotillas' jumble of ships that might lead you to this blue streak. You see Ash and Peak immediately, sitting at the back of the bay, deep in conversation. Their closeness causes you to stop, suddenly aware that you might be interrupting something private. Peak is gesturing wildly as Ash stares out into the middle distance, hunched over. As Peak tries to get her attention, she spots you. Sleeper. Ash nods. Incredible work back there. She smiles. Sorry I couldn't wait for you and Peak, but the moment I saw the cordon go down, I had to get in here. Peak shakes their head. Leaping before looking, as usual. Peak smiles, but I'm glad we're all reunited. To be honest, Peak adds, I can't believe it. The Flux event knocked the entire cordon systems offline. Flotilla is free and Haven Age are backing off. Peak smiles at you. You must be our good luck charm. Flux event? That's what the refugees are calling it, Peak explains. Apparently that's what they called it when it started happening around Ember. What exactly is happening? This is what I thought. This wave is what's causing these ships to come to the eye. Hard to tell. It's some kind of disruptive wave that only affects electrical systems. Peak chips in. Typically systems are screened against radiation and interference, but this seems to be dulled, but not stopping by those defenses. But not stopped by those defenses. Basically, the crisis continues. The cordon may be down, but this brings a whole other set of problems. Ash paces away. You should tell them, Ash. Peak glances at her. Please. Ash doesn't respond. Tell you what? You stare at her back, waiting for a response. Please, Ash. Haven't they shown they can be trusted? Peak nods towards you. Ash turns, her arms folded tightly across her chest. She goes to start and then stops. You can see the anger in her eyes, but you realize it is not directed at you or at anyone else. She is angry with herself. I brought weapons to the flotilla. She pauses. And now they're gone. You suddenly remember the sleek crates that were tucked into the bay, marked with a yellow sigil. The ones Ash told you were just supplies. What do you mean, gone? What do you think? Ash snaps. Someone lifted them from the ship's bay while I was unloading the supplies, she sniffs. At least they're in the hands of the flotilla now. Peak looks at you. She knows this was a bad move, Sleeper, I promise you. They glance back at her. She was just too proud to admit it. Where did you get them from? XPR? She gestures around the ship. I wasn't about to leave the colony armed when we escaped. I wouldn't trust them not to use them on us. Peak sighs. I didn't know a thing about them, which is why Ash is going to be the one to find them and bring them back. Shouldn't we help? Ash turns. It's okay, Sleeper. I don't want anyone mixed up in this. This is my responsibility. She turns away. Plus, Peak adds, you and I have work to do. I want to understand the Flux, Sleeper, to study it. Peak's eyes light up. This thing is changing the entire system, causing problems across the inner systems, driving refugees off of Ember's moons, and now it's here. If we don't do something about it, Peak pauses, it's a problem for all of us. I can see more immediate problems, Ash sniffs. Peak ignores her. I've been looking at the networks, and when the Flux event hit, it changed things. It shuffled systems, corrupted nodes, and broke open data stores. They take out a slate and show you a flickering polygon. Some of these Flux nodes have appeared near the epicenter of the event, but I can't get access. You, however, I saw the way you worked with data when we were preparing for the run. I think you can get into these things. I want you to find a fluxed node and bring me anything you can extract. They come and go, but most can be found in the barely functioning networks of the wastes. Peak pauses. Start there. Perhaps together we can find something that might point us to what the flux is and where it comes from. Okay. They smile. I knew you'd agree. Ash looks indignant. Don't waste too much time chasing ghosts, Sleeper. There are people on this flotilla that need any help they can get. I'm sure Sleeper can do both. Hey, Leah. How's it going? I'm just playing. I'm getting into the Citizen Sleeper DLC. Things are intense. There's a massive ion wave that's shutting down systems across refugee ships that I'm trying to help out. Getting pretty deep into this game now, into stuff that I've never seen before, which is fun. I'll see you here when you have something. Good hunting. And they wave you out as Esh stomps away to make plans of her own. We've got a new drive. There's this Flux. Find and access a Flux node. There's also a missing... Yeah, hanging in there, doing some boarding so you can watch in the background. Yeah, this is pretty deep into the game, so, you know, spoilers, but it's been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it, and I mean, I love this game from the beginning, and it's fun now getting to the DLC that I never played the first time, so this stuff is all new to me. Yeah, and glad you're hanging in there. Let's see. Fluxed nodes. Ooh, they need high rolls. I do not have high rolls to give them. Hey, Pangolin, how's it going? I'm all out of my high rolls, unfortunately. Time to go. You know, when I've only got a 2 to spend, that's when I do it at work. I give my 2 at work. And yet somehow working gives you energy in this game. That's the thing that I love the most, at least working for the commune. It's because they feed you after it, but it's always so funny to me that it's like you hit work assignment and then you spend the day working, and somehow that leaves you feeling more full and refreshed. Couldn't be me. Let's see, and then I've got this one dice. Oh, Blueprints. No, I've heard really good things, though. It seems like a really interesting game. I struggle with puzzle games a lot of the time, but it seems like a really neat one. And honestly, it might be one that I end up wanting to play on stream because it seems pretty neat. I know it's pretty saturated right now within like what people are playing, but it seems like a fun time. Keith and you just started and it's super interesting. Yeah, it does seem really unique. It's like a map building, like roguelike, right? It seems really neat. Oh, sorry you're feeling burned out, Pangolin. Yeah, but hey, it's the weekend now, right? It is Friday. Both me and the day of the week. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I've got an idea. So, I'm gonna make like an official little video for this later. But just, you know, for people who are in chat right now, I want to do an event once I, like a little, stream once I hit 300 followers on Twitch. I'm like 12 away right now. Where I do what I'm calling Freaky Friday. And for Freaky Friday, I'm going to do the most unhinged, like smash or pass lists that you can imagine. Like I'm gonna do, the ideas I had for them were household appliances, smash or pass. You know, hear me talk about what's the most appealing or non-appealing household appliance. Don't even get me started on a lawnmower. You have to do all the work. And yeah, motherboards, absolutely. But like, you know, bridges, all of that. There's I also really want to do just straight up Monster Hunter monsters as one of the lists, because it's one of those things of like everyone always does, like when they're talking about monsters, they always have it be like sexy monsters, and I'm like, no, Smasher Pass Chotacabra. So things like that. I'm working on other ones. Smasher Pass Final Fantasy games, not the characters, the games themselves. Let me tell you, one of those crystal case Final Fantasy 7 discs, smash. So that will be my little like event once I hit 300 followers. I'll make an official video sometime, just like as a little like tease for it, but I thought that would be a fun time. Yes, exactly. The hear me out like trend on TikTok, and everyone was like saying the most timid things. They were like, hear me out, Jessica Rabbit. And you're like, hear you out, the most overly sexualized character in all of cartoon history? Hear you out? Are you kidding me, my guy? Lola Bunny is your hot take? Come on. Be brave. Let me tell you about how I'll bang an oven. Yes, hot furries aren't a hear me out. 100%. Okay, we've become friends of the flotilla. There's this large flotilla of refugees that has been hanging out on the edge of the Eye, the space station here, and I've helped them by sneaking them supplies on a run. And then after that happened, a massive ion like wave, essentially what they're calling the Flux, shut down like all electronics systems on this side of the Eye, and there's been like a big kind of like panic. They rebooted, but damage has been done. So now we'll see what Soul has to say. This is a new character that I haven't met before yet. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind, cutting through the chaos of the crowded, cavernous bay. You freeze. Don't be afraid now. I've been hunting you, sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in rusted metal. Soul. He holds out his hand, the other clamped firmly around a knotted wooded cane. I'll shake his hand. He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me, as soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Soul puts a hand on your shoulder. I've been told a sleeper was part of that supply run that came several cycles ago. He nods. A very welcome act, and we all thank you for it. Walk with me, sleeper. Soul sets off through the bay, his partial suit hissing and creaking as it helps carry him through the busy crowds. You notice people making way for you, and Soul is standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots and heating elements. Steaming pots, you say? A restless queue of collecting metals. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here, we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of greenish stew dished out. The color is something, isn't it? Soul smiles. Soul leads you out of the larger bay into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving as dorms. You see someone filling a metal container from a standpipe, the water gushing out readily. Soul nods to the person as he passes. So these are all the things that I've helped provide for the refugees in the previous mission. I got them scrap, water, and algae in order to help them survive up until this point. I think because the game implies that you can still complete the mission without getting all three, but I did, so hopefully he'll be happy with me. Just a little further now. Soul leads you into a freight elevator and whistles to some unseen operator to start it up. It jerks into life, and as you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level, supplies crammed into every available space, and sparks leaping in bursts as the ship is reshaped and modified to sustain its population. If Haven Age were expecting an exodus from the Flotilla, the Flux event has put a stop to that. Soul stretches. Some have crossed to the eye, but many just to gather salvage or score a hot meal. So the pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I'd hoped. The Flux reaching all the way out here, people are starting to understand that our journey might not be over. Soul stares grimly ahead. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and Soul leads you slowly out of into a wide room of chairs and terminals, ringed by a mezzanine and with a glass roof above showing the distant hub and the far curve of the eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. Is this your ship? Soul nods. That's right. The Pilgrim Seed is mine to care for. He leads you up to a railed platform at the center of the room and stops. She chose me, so to speak. Well, at least her crew did, and I do my best to serve them. Soul looks around at the bridge of a ship, a pained expression on his face. I'll admit that the responsibility isn't one that suits me, though we rarely get to choose such things. He glances back at you. But you, Sleeper, from what I understand, you chose to try and help us out, tried to help us here. Is that right? I did my best to. Soul nods silently. But I have to ask you, Sleeper, why are you here now? Soul leans back and you feel his eyes on you, assessing you. The Flux event. I appreciate the honesty. I had figured as much. Soul flexes the shoulder that is free of the suit. Looking at you now, I can see that an event like that, well, it would have a big impact. He smiles a half smile. I have thousands of people here on the Pilgrim Seed, Sleeper, and there's thousands more out in the Flotilla. He leans against a railing. A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've got into. And this cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, it just caught up with us. So these people are scared, Sleeper, and they're looking to me for reassurance. And then on the same cycle, someone tells me that they see you on board, a Sleeper. The same Sleeper, they reckon, that wanted to so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us. Soul scratches at his beard. So the first thing I wanted to do was to thank you for that, for your interest. He pauses. But the second thing I wanted to do was find out what you want from us. Soul's suit hisses and creaks. I think that's fair, don't you? Soul takes a deep breath. So, what is it? I mean, I want to know about the Flux, and these people are refugees from Ember, which is a place that it seems like the Flux is now hitting more and more hard. So I think asking "tell me about the Flux" answers both questions. Someone at a terminal calls out to Soul and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. Apologies. He smiles, that half smile. I'll tell you what, Sleeper, let's you and me make a deal. You want information, I understand that, but I have a list of needs longer than the rim of the eye itself. He grimaces. So you do some things for me, and then we can talk about what's been happening in this system, and I'll answer all your questions and then some. I may be the captain of the Pilgrim Seed, and she is certainly the biggest ship in the flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships from each of the moons. We're from Ember's Hearth, but there are others from Ember's Song and even Ember's Step. The moons have been at each other's throats, Sleeper, what with the pressures of the Flux, the bad blood from the old days. Soul leans in. We aren't exactly all in alignment. Uh-oh. Okay. So there's another thing that's happening, which is, a big shipment of military arms have gone missing. A bunch of weapons have gone missing from the ship that we brought in. That was not my idea to bring them in, but yeah, his half smiles. I think they're trying to depict like a roguish charm, though I also think they're trying to depict this man has been through some stuff. I almost wonder, I'm like, can the other half of his face even smile? Like, is it you know, one of those things where something has left half of his body kind of like struggling to like function. But this makes me think that the refugee ships are maybe one of the refugee ships has taken the guns. What I need is a way to stop things escalating. For the crew on these ships and their captain to feel happy and comfortable, enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes. He flinches at something. Friendly, tough, but caring uncle who has a dark, tragic secret? Yes, 100%. It strikes me as the kind of person who, you know, like he said, doesn't really want the responsibility that he has, but has stepped up and it has taken its toll. Those from Ember's Step, well, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be a barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies I sent their way, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking access the Ember Song ships gather at, but then they've taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you're heading that way, you can look into them. I'm no politician, Sleeper, but if I don't... Soul stops. He leans back and flexes, his suit screeching. He groans a little, and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders. The suit, the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Look, I really like this design as well. Like the asymmetrical design of the suit that's like keeping him upright is really nice. And like the frame around his head is like a really interesting one. Look, you'll see for yourself if you go. Meet the others, Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned. He speaks through the pain, his voice clipped. Listen, you don't ask someone like that if they're okay. Similar to how I, as the Sleeper, get upset when people point out, you know, that things are tough for a Sleeper. I'm just gonna say, I understand. Meet them on their level. You don't point out the obvious. They know what's going on with their body and would tell you if it was important. I hope, Soul grits his teeth. You are what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles his half smile despite the pain. Because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on the Pilgrim Seed too. If you have a moment to pitch in, there's never enough around here. That's what I have learned the hard way. Soul settles onto his crane, the pain visibly receding. All right, I have 1,000 things to attend to now, Sleeper, so you'll have to find your own way out. And with that, Soul sits at a terminal with slow and careful movements. You head back down into the freight elevator, and as you do, you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel and all the vessels of the flotilla hold. Oh, got a new drive. What's that? Flotilla support. Help settle the tensions. Ooh, easier said than done, I feel like. We'll see. Oh, hey, I've got so many mushrooms that I've been sitting on because I've harvested them and not had, honestly, anything to do with these excess mushrooms. So, Pilgrim Seed supply. Food is an issue on the Pilgrim Seed, even with agriculture on board. The supply of Matsutake will help fill the gap. Excellent. You hand over the Matsutake to those working in the canteen. They are very grateful. There's more where that came from. mushroom in their little house. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, unfortunately, my only room right now, on one side of the eye is a, oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? A shipping container that I've been crashing in since I first arrived. And then the other spot I have to sleep is like a dorm in a commune. So as you can see, one of my drives is still build a home, and that has been put on the back burner as other things have been taking precedent. But I really enjoy the mushroom pun. I wonder if anyone wants these G-roll caps. Oh, there's another person, Aki. It's a strange sight, given your time spent in the Greenway, to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. It piles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to whirl in front of the glass ceiling. It is a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? The remark comes from another figure standing at the viewing window, so quietly that you haven't noticed them. Did they just arrive, or were they here before you were? Their cloth-swaddled form reveals little. I mean, I don't have much love for the desert aesthetic, but my sleeper is polite. I'll say it is. They say nothing. You catch a glimpse of a pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red reflected light. They turn to you and as the dust swirls. Aki, they smile a tight smile. You're not from the Flotilla, am I right? Oh, Aki is in Citizen Sleeper too. That's one of the few characters that spills over between the two games. Since it's more of an anthology, but there's a few side characters that show up. And Aki is a pretty major, not major character, but a recurring NPC in 2. I live on the Eye. But that is not where you are from. She stares into the greenhouse. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes, whether it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloak around her shoulders against the cold. What brings you to the Wind's Long Shadow? Oh, that's an excellent ship name. Are you kidding? The Wind's Long Shadow? The ship? Aki looks at you curiously. Do you often wander around ships you don't know the name of? Actually, constantly, yes. You are a strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know whether to report you or to send you back where you came from. She smiles to herself, which is nowhere at all. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on this ship. Unlike the other ships you have been on the Flotilla, there is a silent order to the Wind's Long Shadow, and in this moment it feels unsettling. Where is everyone? Aki waves a hand. Asleep, mostly. It is night on Step, and so does night here. She rubs her shoulders, at least for those of us who can sleep. Step? Aki turns away, irritated, eager to change the subject. You hear a creak as the set of shutters slowly begin to close around the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, you feel the dissonance this place has with that word. There's nothing green here. Dust house, perhaps. It takes many systems to preserve this landscape. Aki begins to simulate the wind, cycle the dust, layer the sand and dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling. Systems that are failing. The Flux event, Aki glances at you for a sign of recognition at this term, is eroding our ability to keep this place alive, to keep the traces of Step alive. She smiles to herself. Yeah, 100% the sending you back to nowhere sounds like she was talking about just absolutely venting you into the void of space. Like you were about to get airlocked Among Us style, 100%. I'm gonna send you back to nowhere. Honestly, line goes hard. Which is ironic, because when we left Step, the Flux had eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation has reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we were, living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutters darkens the dust house, the winds picking away at the dunes, beginning to reveal something, a web, a network of thick branching forms, and then they close completely, and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, uplighting Aki in cold cyan. You've piqued my curiosity, but I am so tired. Aki shivers. If you do not have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll need to leave. Make yourself useful and perhaps we will get another chance to talk. She turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pads away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots under the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. Let's see what we can do here. Interface, okay. The crews won't let you into the dust houses, but there are plenty of supporting systems that could do with some love and care. Now we've got the docking access. Unload supplies. Sol's shipment of supplies sits partially unloaded, the crew absent. If you want to help, the best way would be to finish the job yourself. Oh man. 4s are not great rolls right now because I'm lacking the ability to get surefire successes, which is what I crave. I want the sure thing. Let's see. There's this flux node that I need, but I think that requires, it requires a 5. Do I roll them bones and hope I get 5s and 6s, or do I spend these 4s? I guess the 4s become 5s, which is pretty good overall. I'll do that. I'll unload some supplies. That seems less dangerous. Even if I get hit with just some neutral outcomes. Okay, now with a 1 and a 3, I think I'll reroll. Still not great, but you know, better than it was. So close to finishing that up. I do have, so if you're wondering how I got so many mushrooms, you may be wondering how I got here. It's because I have my own little mushroom farm here in the aviary, which I use to produce medicine for myself with the help of a professor named Rico. But they often result in me getting mushrooms that I currently have no use for. So we'll see how that ends up going. Let's see, I am going to repair myself a little with some scrap I have and start a new day. I think we're about to hit an ad, so I'm gonna hit the be right back screen and just go get a little bit of water. Let's see. Not excellent rolls, but that's fine. Because we can re-roll, which is very nice. Let's finish this undocking. There is a loose crowd around the supplies you have unloaded, and a tense mood brewing among them. You sit nearby on the edge of the shuttle's docking tunnel, resting. Further away, crews from Ember Song continue their lives as usual. coming and going, trading, discussing. There's a quiet efficiency to the hub, set up as a common space for the swarm of small ships from Ember's Song that are part of the flotilla. Unlike Hearth or Steppe, there's no one capital ship for the moon's refugees, just a mass of individuals traveling in concert. We told Hearth we didn't want their scraps. The jeering voice comes out from the small crowd nearby. You turn to see a gaunt, pale man wearing the industrial work gear of you have seen many of the Song refugees wearing. You hear me? The supplies are to help. He smirks. Oh, how noble of you, coming out here to help us singers. There's a rumble of anger around the crowd. We agreed to join the flotilla for joint protection. We did not agree to Ember's Hearth using the flotilla to secure their control of the moons. You realize Peter is addressing the crowd as much as he is addressing you. With the cordon down, our crew are more than able to acquire what is needed from the eye, what is owed as restitution for keeping us restrained. He pats one of the crates you unloaded. What we need, we will take. Sol wants to cooperate. Sol is a farmer. Even the people of Song know that he was simply the sole survivor of Hearth's leadership. His authority means nothing. Peter looks around at the crowd. Hearth thinks they can buy us, but we remember the past. A rumble of agreement runs through the crowd. He smiles at them. Take the supplies if you wish, of course. We are not wasteful. Peter approaches you directly. The crowd tentatively moves forward. By the time he reaches you, they are already dragging away crates and distributing the contents. I'm not one for shooting the messenger, Sleeper, says Peter as he approaches, but we cannot concede to Hearth here, not for a moment. Honestly, I was gonna say leave me out of it, but things might come to a head if I stay out of it. If there's one thing I've learned, the Sleeper is one of the only cool heads of reason on the Eye, or the flotilla at this point. I don't understand. I can see that. Peter sits beside you on the docking tunnel slip. What was your plan, Sleeper? Unload the supplies and wait for someone to start throwing them back at you? He nods at the crowd rifling through the crates. Because that's what was about to happen. So I should thank you? Peter bows a little. My pleasure. What do you think happened to the crew of this shuttle? He shakes his head. They were chased out of this place. Chased where? Like, what? Excuse me? What is happening here? Why do they hate Hearth? I mean, both of those are good questions. We are maintaining our independence, he smiles. Do you know anything about Ember's moons, Sleeper? Or were you planning to wander into the flotilla totally blind? An objective outsider offering help? He rolls his eyes. I mean, I did choose the character class that has the lowest intelligence, so educate me then. He smiles. It would be my pleasure. I'm going to assume you know the basics. The gas giant Ember has 7 moons. The 3 biggest are Ember's Steppe, Ember's Song, and Ember's Heart. He winks. We can cover the 3 sisters next session. Yeah, I know. We're just like, hey man, I was here on like a delivery run. Do you want the order? Can you sign here, please? This is a real moment of like Wendy's coming up to you and being like, you're just a Wendy's. Steppe was the first to be settled. Contract old Solheim gave the terraformers Sibel systems when they first claimed the Hellion system. That's way back when. Steppe was a testing ground, and like most testing grounds, it didn't turn out well. A partial atmosphere slowly sloughing off each orbit a dysfunctional ecosystem, and a whole load of dust-clogged settlers. The place is a miserable desert, long past its best before date. How dare you ask me what my order is exactly? It's you seeing this is 100% like you seeing a person who's hungry, offering them a meal, and then they get upset because there's pickles. You know? And they're like, I can cook for myself. And it's, okay. I heard your stomach growling, you know? I think, from what I remember, Peter also shows up in 2. And what I'll say, without spoiling much, is that at least in my story, his end was not a happy one. Maybe I'll do a 2 playthrough at some point. I really like 2 as well. I actually think 2 might even be better because the gameplay is a little bit more dynamic than in this game. Maybe I'll just do that as like a YouTube series, like for VODs, and not actually stream it, just because, you know, we'll see. So, Sibel moved to Hearth, where they redoubled their efforts. The subsurface ocean and some balmy tidal heating helped, allowing them to build a real atmosphere, a real habitable world, a fact that the typical Hearth colonists won't ever let you forget. See, this is why you need to install one of those creepy mecha heads onto one of our robo limbs. People are way nicer when you have mecha dendrites. I mean, that would be cool. Having like a little drone system or something that would like fly around you would also be very neat. Just like watching him from every other angle. And that's kind of what Soul had going on. He had like a second arm kind of coming out of his shoulder in a fun way. How did Sibel achieve such a thing, you might wonder? Well, that's where we come in. It's that same old rule of surrogacy, the one humanity built our universe around. Peter claps a hand to his chest in mock pride. My moon, Ember Song, is a sulfur-soaked rock covered in volcanoes, tidally heated by its inner orbit to sweltering temperatures, exactly the kind of crucible you'd need to fuel a terraforming project. Energy, industry, fuel. Song provided the raw material for Hearth, Peter grimaces, willingly or not. And a crucible requires people to run it, us singers born into a flaming pit and asked to stoke it so others might live in a paradise in the making. That's what we had to endure, until Solheim brought everything down. Peter rattles off this speech from memory, and you wonder how many times he has delivered it. This dude is practicing it in the window, or in the mirror for sure. And this is rehearsed. No Solheim, no contract, no contract, no Sybil, and no Sybil meant 3 moons suddenly independent. Peter shakes his head. It was a war, Sleeper. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, and unsurprisingly, Hearth and Steppe came out of it better than us. Yet, Peter holds up a hand, they need us, Sleeper, always have. And so we are the linchpin, we are the center around which the moons orbit, not swirling ember. We've resisted takeovers, sieges, and expansions, and now we'll resist this. Yeah, dramatic monologue V3 underscore shorter underscore final underscore for real this time. Half of these people on these ships think the flux was caused by Hearth, intentionally or otherwise, and I have to say, some cycles I agree. So before you come out here to hand out supplies like a good soldier, maybe educate yourself. What does it matter to you? Why does this matter now? Peter shakes his head. Do you forgive crimes against yourself so easily, Sleeper? Well, it depends from who. Are they a dick about it? If so, no. So, I mean, maybe you have a point. There's been plenty of people in this game that I have not helped and maybe left to bitter ends because they were a real dick the first time they met me. Would you return to the bosom of Essenharp if they sent someone to collect? Peter stares at the crowd. Don't presume to judge us. I want you to imagine what it's like to try to live on an airless volcanic rock when every system that sustains you starts shutting down. He spits and wipes a sleeve across his mouth. We abandoned nothing. Some stayed, others left, but we will reclaim Ember as soon as the flux fades or ends. We've weathered worse. He won't like me saying I understand. If there's one vibe I get off of this guy, it's he will not believe me when I say I understand. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what he's kind of bringing up about, like, needing our brain juice when he's like, would you return to the bosom of Essenarp? But it's like, yeah, we all have it rough. I was a indentured servant, my consciousness sold against my own consent and put into this body. Things are bad everywhere, Peter. I mean, he's making good points. It sounds like they have had it very rough in order to supply the, like, nice life of many other people. But it also sounds like he's using that motivation to prepare to stage a violent coup. And listen, I think there's another way through this. Don't you need the supplies? As I said, we will take what we need when we need it. Peter stares out into the Axis. There is no authority that we recognize here. Okay, yeah, this man is trouble. I won't keep you from the docking axis, Sleeper. No one here has the authority for that, but watch yourself here. Try to remember that the Eye is just another in the long list of people who have tried to control us. Now, I'm sure you know how, like, when a person's having a rough time and you tell him to calm down, it always works? I'm sure if I told him he was being too stubborn, he'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. It's chill. Yeah, I refuse to help. I refuse help because that's weak. But punching people, helping you, and taking their stuff, now that's epic. 100%. Men will literally do anything except go to therapy. Men will stage a military coup instead of get a box of mushrooms. Maybe the actual answer here is, like, he really hates mushrooms and is, like, so upset because it's the only food we have here on the Eye. I'm just gonna stay silent. Sometimes it's the best answer, Telltale game style. Peter sighs. Look, we are many and we have many needs. Ships come to this docking access for repairs, for requisitions, for friendship. You can provide these as well as any singer. If you want to help in your own name, Sleeper, nodded that of Hearth. Peter shakes his head. Carry that name here and he will lose all trust. Be as we are. Act in your own name alone. Peter puts a hand on your shoulder and stands. I hope I didn't just waste my time here, Sleeper. And with that, he walks away, back to the shrinking crowd of this distributing the last of the supplies amongst the crews present. So they are taking everything still. As they're like, we're too good for this, but also, I mean, now that the burgers are here, you know, it's one of those Shake Shack shroom burgers is the thing. It's good with the right sauces. He's unwilling to give it a try because he thinks they're yucky. But I'm telling you, man, yeah, I got this guy on the other side of the Eye. Emphas fries them up something amazing. You won't believe that they're mushrooms when you're eating them. Watch them pass the food and water between them. No signs of conflict between the crews, just a careful distribution of resources. Peter chats with a few crews, each of them casting looks in your direction, ones that reveal little about the singer's intentions. You stand. It seems the tensions on the flotilla run much deeper than you expected. This won't be easy. Yeah, the problem is these guys are all the way at the far end, and the good mush burgers are like way down on the other side of the map. Like about as far as you can get on the other side. So, not the easiest. Oh, I can give them a... Oh, hey, I can actually... Well. One of the ships is trying to establish a mushroom farm to help feed the crews. They're looking for spores to get them started. Isn't that interesting? You say we don't need any mushrooms. We don't want any food, but we're gonna do it ourselves. And now you need the spores. Luckily, I had a very good roll earlier collecting spores myself. Mushroom monster spores. See, that's how The Last of Us happens. I've been trying to be very careful with the spores I'm planting. Because a digital mushroom did try and, like, basically quote-unquote, free me of my consciousness. Or not of my consciousness, separate my consciousness from my mortal form before. But I said no, even though actually that's how I ended my first ever playthrough, and it's a very cool ending. Okay, yeah, Flux data, Pilgrim Seed, they still need more shrooms, actually, speaking of. Yeah, Cyber Shroom Hive Mind. If that sounds interesting to you, I recommend watching last week's VOD up on YouTube when you get the chance, because that's exactly what it sounds like. So it's a really good, that is ending sequence of last week's play, like, had me genuinely choked up because the writing in this game is so touching. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, see, this is where the good mushrooms are. It's all the way down here. But actually, well, no, you know what? I was gonna spend that, but while we're here... Oh man, I gotta wait a few days for more ship mine parts to get here. That's a shame. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna re-roll. So I need better rolls than 3s to be on. Well, I got 1. Let me get the Flux node, because honestly, the Flux was terrifying. It was accompanied by the most terrible, like, sound effect this game has had so far. And genuinely, the screen went black with such an instant, I thought the game had glitched, which was a really cool effect, actually. But I'm terrified of the Flux. It seems like the one thing that could still really kill my sleeper in that way. Peak asked you to help them extract data from the nodes in the waste, one that appeared after the recent Flux event. Let's give it to him. Sleeper, come look at this. Peak is poring over one of the displays of the makeshift decoding suite they have set up on the Climbing Briar's cargo bay. On the screen, a clump of data pathways, like an ingrown root ball, has started to untangle. This is an existing node corrupted by the Flux event. It's totally twisted up. They glance at you to check that you're listening. Just me, like, synthetic finger up my cyber nose, not listening at all. But inside, you watch as the unwinding pathways leave behind patterns of negative space, like shadows staying behind despite their casters leaving, is a whole other data set. Peak's eyes shine bright in the pale screen light. The Flux event somehow seeds this data deep into the gaps of the node, wrapping them around it. Listen, I'm gonna be real. Me, personally, I don't get it. Subway Surfers playing in your screen head 100% just to keep my own ADHD attention span going. Peak looks crestfallen. Think of it like resin poured over an object, filling all its gaps and cracks and then hardening into place. You watch the screen, the patterns of shadows becoming obvious now that now as each layer of pathways is pulled away. This is where I would love to have, like, animated facial expressions, you know, like for my own actual VTuber model, because I would love a little, like, ellipses animation to play right here with, like, 3 dots just, like, bouncing as I personally am trying to understand what Peak is saying. Unfortunately, animating these kind of like motion, what are they called? They're called blend shapes in Blender, is not super well supported by Warudo, but something to think about if I ever do like a model update or something down the line. Would be fun, like facial animation, screen emotes essentially for myself. You watch the screen, the patterns of shadows becoming obvious now as each layer of pathways is pulled away. The Flux event itself really did a number on the unprotected nodes like this one. Most of the eye systems are screened against radiation and interference, but these exposed nodes? Peak makes a ripping motion with their hands, torn apart. Not sure, familiar with Warhammer, but this reminds me of the Mechanicus revolt. They sent like a cyber wave that turned cyborgs loyal into dark Mechanicus. I am not familiar, but that does sound sweet. Like, basically pulling like an Order 66, to use like a Star Wars reference, to like swap the clone troopers to turn on the Jedi. That's interesting. To me, the thing that it reminds me of is there's a podcast I really like called Friends at the Table. Yeah, using their own network against them. There's this podcast called Friends at the Table, and they have this great game, or this great season, or kind of multi-season setting called oh gosh, why am I blanking on it? It's the Divine Century, or the Divine Millennia, and it's it's a sci-fi setting all about these like great divines, which are like basically godlike mechs. And one of them is called, oh gosh, this would be so much better if I could remember any of the proper nouns, but it's been a while since I've listened to this. Oh, forget it. I'll have to bring it up another time once I remember the actual names. Look here. It's, Peak points to a thick tangle of threads on the screen. Look here. It looks like it's been tangled purposefully, but it's actually that all the points within the node have been randomly rearranged. It's as if the node was a bag of ball bearings and the Flux shook them. The pathways tried to account for the rearrangement once the system came back on, hence the tangle. Peak pauses as the node continues to unwind. Although, Peak muses, it was less shaking a bag of ball bearings and more like making them all simultaneously occupy a superposition of every possible position in the bag before locking them back into a new configuration. They smile sheepishly, but that's a technicality. You've got to understand, this is all going way over my head. Does any of that help us? For now, not especially. It explains the damage Flux does to systems, but the method is an exotic one. Peak runs a hand through their hair. What we need to know is what is causing it. Where is it coming from? Peak turns away from the screen, meeting your eye, and there's something else. They pause. Have you spoken with the refugees? A little. Peak lowers their voice instinctively. What they're reporting, massive system failures, cascading collapses of life support, of terraforming systems, total data corruption. Peak swallows. Yes, like some wild genetic scrambling, but all for data and code. 100%. It's like moving around every bit of our like processors. The Flux shouldn't do all that. It can fundamentally rearrange the structure of systems, especially those poorly shielded, but totally collapsing heavy-duty industrial systems, failsafes and all? That doesn't make sense. Those kind of systems are built for deep space, for solar flares and radiation. The Flux might penetrate them, but any reconfiguration should have been repairable. Peak looks back at the screen where the decoding node lies almost fully open. A shadow pattern of the negative spaces that existed within its scrambled interior darkens the screen, like a set of bruises showing the pattern of the object that made them. I need to look into something. I have an idea of what might be causing this wave, triggering the flux, but I need time to research it. Can I help? Peak shakes their head. I'm sorry, Sleeper, but I want to keep this to myself for now. If you need something to do, the flotilla could surely do with the help. From what I heard from Esh, things are tense there. Yeah, I mean, they are tense there. Where is Esh? Peak glances around the bay. Must be out. I've been focusing on this, so I can't say I've noticed, although the quiet is nice. They smile. Give me some time, Sleeper. Peak turns back to their console. I'll have some answers soon enough, I hope. I'm so sorry, Sleeper. I need to nerd out on this freaky style, so I'll need the privacy. Go talk to those friendly refugees. 100%. There's 100% like nerding, geeking out, like in the most wild way. Peak is like very mild mannered, but with all of this, they're coming out of their cage and they're feeling just fine. Gotta be down because they want it all. You take one last glance at the uncoiling node as you leave. The dark shapes it leaves behind somehow troubling. You try to shake them from your mind. There are things to be done elsewhere. Yeah, this is what they get down with? Yeah, this is their sickness, and they're down with it for sure. Real quick, I am going to look up the name of the character from Friends at the Table that I'm thinking of. Oh, it's Perennial. As soon as I even went to go search it, it came to my mind, because of course that's how this works. In Friends at the Table, their sci-fi setting, there is this divine called Perennial, and there's this thing called the Perennial Wave, which is basically a wave very similar to this Flux that is like disables high-tech like super robots. It's this really interesting thing that they do with the setting in which some seasons are super high fantasy sci-fi, you know, like super robot style, and then others are more like MS 08 team in Gundam, where it's like more grounded military. Each screen can only do one thing because the tech is limited, and that's because of the Perennial Wave kind of like shutting things down and forcing every faction in the world to like similar tech levels, which is like creates this really interesting dynamic. Yeah, it's a really fun way to like change the like tech levels within a setting. And then they've got this other thing called the Twilight Mirage that sends things to even be way beyond super robot like level of technology, where it's practically just magic at that point. And then, you know, factions are inevitably interested in like capturing or infiltrating the Twilight Mirage, because with that level of power, you know, basically nothing would be able to stop you compared to everything else that is like struggling to like even breach basically like the next level of like interstellar flight. Let's see. Man, these are some poor rolls. Oh, there's more Flux nodes. Yes, Mech versus iCast Move the Sun, 100%. There's other robots in that series, other divines, I should say, because there's non-divine robots as well. But there's divines that are called, like, they're all named after the thing that they represent, right? There's some, like, called, like, Rigor, and when Rigor acts, it basically is almost like a brainwashing robot, essentially, that pushes everyone to be like mindless working drones, because it's going to always push you to work harder and harder and harder. Or there's a divine called Gumption that like basically is a like divine of trying to spread information and do it yourself like attitude, essentially. Really interesting stuff. I love that series. Or a divine named Motion that once it's used, basically creates a zombie army because it's always moving everything that's that it has its kind of feelers inside of. And so no soldier of motions ever dies, like fully. It'll just keep getting up. All right, I think I'm gonna do one more day and then I'll probably call it for today. It's getting a little late and I gotta make some dinner in a bit. Oh, there's a scene I must complete to end the day. Where is it? It's not here. Someone wants... Who do I gotta talk to? Hello? What icon is this? Sun. That doesn't look familiar to me. Maybe it's Bliss? I don't see anything down here. So it must be up on the next level. Oh, it's Lemon Mina. Oh, this is tough. There's a crowd, but you spot Lem and Mina immediately as you enter the dock. They are anchored, like everyone else, along the viewing platform, watching the final stages of the sidereal horizons loading in preparation. So, Lem and Mina are these two great characters. I was helping Lem try and win a spot on this sidereal horizon, this ship that's going out to like a far edge of the known galaxy and starting up a new colony. However, I will say, it seemed super sus, and the people that they all called out, it seemed like an inside job where they only called out the names of, you know, high-ranking Haven Age employees, and Lem and Mina seems like never stood a chance. But they had been riding all their hope on this, and I'd been babysitting Mina to give Lem a chance to try and like work on the ship as his like ticket out. And now it's about to leave without them. I had an option to get them on, but I would have had to go with them and basically let somebody implant a little like voice, like a chip inside my brain that was constantly sending data back to them to get information on the sidereal horizon and the whole project. And I think overall my character was basically like, I'm not down with that. I've been used by other companies for too long, and I want to have autonomy over my own brain. So thank you, but no thank you. But now I feel guilty because I could have gotten Lem and Mina on, but by refusing, yes, like those gangs from earlier on, 100%. But by refusing, I've kind of like doomed them to have to stay here too, which I do feel guilty about. Lem. He turns and searches nervously through the faces to see who called. Then he spots you and a weak smile passes across his face. You move up and join him on the platform. We decided to come and watch in the end. He nods a look at the sleepy-looking Mina, whose bright eyes are locked on the yellow hull of the sidereal horizon. Meanie wouldn't let me stay away. I'm glad. Lem smiles again. I wasn't sure if I'd see you up here. Mina turns to you and flashes you a small smile too. You three watch the ship for a while, in the same hushed state as most of the crowd. All the anger seems to have faded out of those who didn't make the crew. Perhaps down in the low end, the tambour is full of angry workers, drunkenly denouncing Celis, but up here the atmosphere is reflective, somewhere between a funeral and a ritual. You seem to have a lot on your mind, friend. Lem puts a hand on your shoulder. Want to tell me what's been bothering you? I don't want to tell him that I passed up the chance, but so I'm worried about you.
Us?
He reflexively strokes Mina's head. Don't worry about us. He turns away from the ship to face you. If you think this is the worst we've been through, yeah, then you are wrong. Lem puts Mina down beside him. She kicks off, gliding to the viewing window and presses her nose against it. You know, there's been plenty of cycles where I thought Mina would be better off without me. Who am I to decide her life for her? To drag her through? He gestures around the eye. All this. But when I see her smiling, I see her dealing with things, making fun out of nothing. It reminds me that she's the one dragging me through. This is her world now, and who am I to decide if it isn't good enough for her? You ever hear of the three-body problem? I have not read this book or seen the TV show, so please give me a little, explainer. It's a physics thing. The idea is that once you have three bodies moving in space, affecting each other, the results cannot be predicted. It's chaos. Lem starts trying to demonstrate with his hands, wheeling them around each other as he speaks. That's how I see us. Me, Mina, and, you, now. We're all bodies in space, and we can't see how that's going to work out for us. But the important thing is we're all affecting each other, right? It's not just one of us calling the shots, making the decisions, shaping the others. Each one is equal, pushes and pulls, and is pushed and pulled in return. And maybe there are other bodies too, right? The Eye, Esther a few units down, other kids, other systems. Hell, the whole Hellion solar system itself. And some of those bodies have bigger forces, bigger effects, but none of them, not one, can totally dictate the movement of the others. So the whole thing keeps spinning, going, and in the middle of it is us three, and everything we do has an effect, a real effect in the system, on each other. And if we move together, push together, hell, maybe the effect can grow, maybe chaos can help us. He stops suddenly, noticing how rapid his speech has become. He drops his hands to the sides. Well, that's it. I understand. Lem nods and turns back to watch Mina as the docking clamps release on the sidereal horizon. A tremor goes through the watching crowd, but no one speaks. Mina, suddenly scared, kicks off from the window and glides back into your arms. She settles there, the lack of gravity meaning you can't feel her weight, only the grip of her small hands on your clothes. Then the sidereal horizon leaves, the spectacle of a vast machine doing the job it was built to do, hypnotizing half of the crowd into stunned silence. But despite the scale of the endeavor and your part in it, you can't feel proud or even impressed. What you see, instead, as Mina clings onto you for comfort, is that same system Lem just described for you. In it, the sidereal and the Celis Foundation are as vast as the sun, around which millions of other bodies orbit. Their scale is terrifying, and the breadth of their influence impossible to conceive. Yet here in the small nested systems of Lem, Mina, of you, of the Eye with its orbit and transits, and of people that are linked to it, those vast forces can be countered. They shift you, yes, and the people around you, but they do not negate the pull of friendship, the orbits of community. As the sidereal moves away from the dock, you think of the bodies on it, those thousands of cryosleepers that, like the person you once were, have given themselves over to that system. You imagine each of them has their reasons, their dreams, their fears, but you worry for them. You worry that they have shackled themselves onto something so much bigger than themselves that it would crush them without a thought. The thought making you bring Mina closer, holding her too, And as you do, Lemon puts an arm around you both and you stand together like that for a while, until the bright spots of the side reel horizon's drives have faded into the dark, and it's time to go home. Hey, second credits. So we reached 1 credits last session. This is the second of, I think, 3 major endings and credits that you can get from the main story. And then I imagine the DLC will have another. So I know I said I was going to do one more day, but honestly, I mean, I didn't realize that this was going to happen. So this feels like a good, moment to end it on. This idea of everything has an impact on one another. This idea that, like, no matter how small these influences we have on each other are all intertangled and all moving each other in some perceptible and some vast ways, I think is, it can make you feel a little overwhelmed, for sure, because of the chaos, but it can also, it makes me feel hopeful. This idea that, like, maybe that little push, everyone sticking together and making movement together, creates a certain kind of gravity, you know? Yeah, so I think that'll do it for today. Well, thank you for joining me, y'all. Thanks for hanging out, for lurking, whatever you're doing. I appreciate it. I will be back on Monday. I am done with, absolutely, Pangolin, anytime. Oh, sorry, let's see what Castor has to say. This is the guy who offered to put an implant in my head. A strange choice. Castor stands beside you at the rail, watching the pinpricks of light from the side rail horizon's drives disappear. But perhaps not unexpected. You turn to look at Castor and is beaming up at you with an unsettling warmth. Aren't you angry? Oh yeah, thanks. Castor, if you offered me cool centipede legs, maybe I'd said yes. Yeah, I mean, he wants data, and he was talking about all sorts of modifications to get it. About what? He squeezes your shoulder. I only wish for you to exercise that strong drive of yours. If it happens to align with my own, then that is pleasing to me. But if it does not, I cannot punish you. What about Celis? Castor looks out to the stars. Indeed, that is a matter which worries me. You always know when the piano music hits, it's going to be a good moment in the game. 100%. That music will move me to near tears almost every time. Zandre Celis has taken a step back from the public eye. It seems some internal struggles are playing out within their pristine halls, Castor sighs. But I doubt core politics are of much concern to you. Castor moves down along the rail. The eye, though, that seems to be your primary concern. Am I right? I have unfinished business, yeah? And it's my home. I'll say it's my home. He smiles broadly. Then we are fellow residents. He seems pleased. This place has been a good home for me. Though, like all places, it has its phases. Do not idle here too long, sleeper, unless you wish to be once again caught in the movement of a system much bigger than yourself. Castor turns and starts to clunk away in his mag boots. I'll be keeping an eye on you, if you don't mind, sleeper. He waves as he walks. My curiosity remains piqued. Once he leaves, you stay a little longer at the rail, watching the stars. Thinking about all those people out on the side rail horizon, drifting towards an unknown future. Okay, then that'll do it for today, for real. Yeah, thank you all for joining me. Wow. I'm glad things worked out with Lemon Mina. I hope that there is a moment that I get to, like, chat with them about everything to decompress. I still really want to bring... Oh, wait. Yeah, there is a thing. I can just always go and hang out with Mina, which is great. That's wonderful. I want to bring them across the ferry to the Greenway. I think they would like it. I'll be back on Monday with some more art streams. I have finished my big just chatting screen mostly. There's a few little compositing things that I still want to like finish up, and so hopefully I'll have it ready by Monday, but we'll see. But Monday's art stream I think is going to be a bit of a grab bag. There's a couple of different things I want to do. There's a little bit of graffiti I want to make. There's a little bit of some character designs I want to do, and just a few other things. So we'll see how that goes. And then next Tuesday, we'll see. Honestly, Hey You Pikachu was a lot of fun, but I think we're saying goodbye to Pikachu as that last stream had ended. And we'll see what next week holds. I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to jump into the next bigger like series. So we might just do a few little odds and ends retro variety grab bag, which I think would still be a lot of fun. Playing some games for the N64 that I've never really delved that deep into, just to take a little look, wade our feet into something without much commitment. Yeah, odds and ends, you know, a nice little variety stream that isn't a big commitment. You know, the Citizen Sleeper playthrough has been very fun, but, you know, it is a big commitment to know every Friday is going to be doing this. And honestly, it's taking me longer because, I mean, if we go to quit to menu, how many... So for my first playthrough, where I basically did everything, I had 49 days on cycle. I'm already 21 past that. And so the game is going long. We'll see what it holds next, though, because everything at this point is beyond what I've seen.